Call to order the Macedonia Planning Commission meeting for June 17th, 2024. Can we get a roll call?
Mr. Westbrook?
Here.
Mr. Roberts?
Here.
Mr. Cox?
Here.
Mr. Wallenhorst?
Here.
Ms. Muskie? Here.
All right, first item is approval of the April 29th public hearing minutes. Looking real quick to see if we're all here. Yeah, it looks like we were all here. Does anybody have any comments or someone want to make a motion?
I'll move that we approve them as submitted.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Next is the May 20th public hearing minutes. Again, Mr. Roberts recused himself from that one, so does anyone want to make a motion?
I move that we approve them as submitted.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right. All in favor? Aye. All right, and then third is the regular meeting minutes for May 20th. Anybody have any comments on those?
Again, I approve, recommend we approve them as submitted.
All right, second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Great. Then our first agenda item is Summit Point, 9633 Valley View Road. Good evening.
Kathy Clark, East Lighting.
All right.
So, are you ready?
Yes, yeah, if you want to give a quick overview.
Sure. So the current monument will be taken away, basically. It's not in great shape. So they are rebuilding the monument base, which is dark red brick. And the sign, the monument sign will be aluminum. Both sides lit from ground lighting. I know Brian had a couple comments about the architectural of it. But I think it does fall under the architecture with the red brick. So-
I know this came to us, gosh, it's been a couple of years or so. I think it was when the name changed.
Okay.
And I think we had similar comments about it. Mr. France, you want to go over your thoughts?
I think that's correct. My report's dated June 1st, and really it's fairly straightforward insofar as the area of the sign, what's being proposed complies with the allowable, so the allowable being 40 square feet. It's being proposed at just a little over 28 square feet, so no concern with the area, just that it's being proposed to switch to a cabinet sign, and from my perspective, a cabinet sign is not real attractive. It's in the design district, in the Macedonia Town Center district, and so I think architecturally, it's going backwards, I think. So I think the raised dimensional letters and a nice brick surround is attractive, and to put a cabinet sign on top is not.
Well, it's
So
not,
I'm curious, what's wrong with the existing sign? You said it's in really bad shape.
well, from the survey photos that I saw, it wasn't in great shape. So last month we were here for another location, which did get approved, very similar to this. It was a little bit bigger sign, but it's really not a cabinet sign, it's just a double-faced aluminum sign. And there's ground lights that will light that up. So it is nice architectural, it's aluminum, it's not acrylic and, crappy, I guess you would say. So, and I think the red brick does fall under that architectural detail color that they requested in that 1172.
Yeah, the brick I'm not concerned
Okay.
necessarily about the brick.
Okay.
So is it a cabinet sign?
It's a cabinet, but it's not lit inside or anything, it's just made out of aluminum. So I think, let me see if they got the dimensions.
Yeah, it's a
on here.
hollow sign. No.
Right,
It's a
correct.
cabinet sign, aluminum, it's hollow, it sits on top of red brick.
Yes,
So the
correct.
red brick isn't the issue.
Okay.
What I think is the issue is the aluminum cabinet.
Okay.
In my opinion, the commission may feel it's fine.
Well, it's a real nice sign now.
Yeah.
It's much more decorative and, substantial. I know, I think the sign itself is, I think it's stone
Yeah.
on there.
Brick
you know,
and stone.
Brick and stone, the actual, the words, the plaque there
Right.
is stone. I know the last time, I think it came in when the name changed, and it's been a few years, they wanted to just pop that off and put some panel of some man-made material, and we had a problem with it. It's like, there was a lot of work probably that went into putting that sign in. It matches the building. It's got some, you know, features of the building in it, and to just kind of downgrade it to just, there's a generic base and a box. That's what, almost the identical thing that we approved last month at the other.
Correct.
Because I guess they must have, the same company must have bought
Yes,
both of those
Yes.
sites. That's what was over at that one, was just that
correct, yes.
generic base with the
Lit
box on
cabinet,
it, yeah.
yes.
So, I mean, I think that one was kind of a no-brainer last month, but this one, I don't know, I hate to, like Brian said, it's kind of a step backwards or a downgrade to lose this one of the nicer signs in town.
I would agree.
I do too.
And even some of the businesses on Highland Road, we asked them to do the same thing, to go away from the cabinet, and those are industry, factories, things like that.
I just-
Sorry, excuse me.
Yeah, because what would you propose? I mean, it's made out of stone. I don't think there's any way to like just take that stone part out and throw some new stone in there.
They must have been able to figure out a way to do it before, because it was a different name. I don't know, do you have Google Maps, the
I'm trying
app,
to
or not the
figure it
app,
out,
but the website, because you can look back to see what it looked like in
I don't
the
have any
past.
knowledge of that yet, sorry.
Yeah,
Not, maps,
not
yeah.
like that, yeah. If you go to
Yeah,
Street View,
it wasn't Summit Point previously.
yeah.
What's it, 9633?
Drop in there and do
This?
drop in the little guy in the Street View, that dude right in front of it. Yep. And then if you click see more dates,
Ah, that's a
you
feature.
can
I
go
didn't
back
know
to
they
like 2015 or something, and see if you can see the sign.
had. Going all the way around.
See if you can
Little
zoom
bit
in on
there.
that at all, or does that even predate?
No, that's in there. That's the stone.
I just wondered if
Yeah,
the
take
name
control. See,
change. That's
it just
the
looks like it's
current
almost
one,
like
I think.
a.
Let me see.
Oh, you're saying before that.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't even remember that.
Oh, it's been a while. I guess it was more than a couple of years ago,
Yeah.
Brian. Or did they decide not to change it? Was that the problem? I'm trying to remember.
I'm looking back to see.
That's before my time.
Because I really hate to lose this nice sign base just to stick, you know, a brick foundation.
What
Let
are
me
they
ask a
saying
question.
wrong with that?
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Did they, you want the sign bigger, is that sort of it, or what?
Actually, I think
The
it ends up
existing
being,
sign isn't big enough, is that? Because
actually, I think it ends up being a little bit smaller.
we all kind of like the old sign, you know?
Right.
I have a feeling it's the Sonida Senior or Sonida, whatever it is, senior
Senior,
living
yeah.
community, getting that with the logo in color, I'm guessing is what,
Right. 'cause
They want-
They want brand consistency, so,
yeah.
and I think it's important to have brand consistency, so.
And I'm sure they do like to have that. And I don't know if anybody who's driving by and sees the logo and is like, "Ooh, I got to go moving over there," or I gotta
Move my mother in there.
I gotta get my mom into that place.
I'll be moving there shortly.
The marketing department thinks that. Why couldn't you do, like we were talking about aluminum, but just raise letters on that, on a similar, it sounds like you're convinced you have to rebuild the monument, but why couldn't
Right.
you just do that within that box type shape there and then still ground light it?
Yeah.
I'm not a sign expert, so.
Yeah, so that interior size is like 30 by 64,
And what are you proposing?
so. let's see. Well, a lot bigger, basically, overall.
Yeah,
8
the
foot.
sign
Yeah, like
itself,
5 foot 8.
the
Yeah.
full thing is not a lot bigger, but
They're
the
going
sign
bigger
part-
on the sign part.
on the sign part of it.
Or what do you want to see if there was a brand new sign, basically?
I mean, Brandon, if they could replicate something like that, something like that, or at least, I don't know, something a little more substantial than just the base. I mean, this is kind of the minimum that we'd like to do, like in the, like he was saying, the industrial areas.
Right.
And we even try to push them a little bit more, to make it a little bit more,
Maybe
if
in
this had
column, maybe they could add some color, is that what they seem to want?
Well, I think if they have to get rid of what
Like
they've
that.
got, if they can't retrofit that at all, could they do something more with this, maybe with columns?
Columns on the
and-
side and then just do a sandstone cap on the top, I think would look fine. I mean, I get that to put the pitch piece on there is a lot of work and that's a huge expense, but I think even
Right.
just basically almost taking like what you have for the base existing there, taking those columns up all the way to on the sides and then just having the two top pieces be like the sandstone, and I think that would look a lot, at least get us closer to what's,
But what would the sign be? Would it be this sign, just with columns?
That's what I wanted to
yeah,
ask.
I don't think.
If that area goes into the, for instance,
Yeah,
if,
probably-
if this, is the area based on the actual sign part of it? And not,
Yes.
so if you had columns around the side which made the whole thing bigger, would that still be acceptable?
Yeah,
I think it's just
the sign, yeah.
I'm sorry, are you with the sign company or the,
I'm just an agent for them.
for the
Um,
sign company or the facility?
The sign company, yeah.
Okay.
Trying to think about,
But they
think
pretty
of
much,
another-
yeah, wanted me to fight for it, so.
yeah.
Well, from a marketing standpoint, we believe that's a much more attractive sign than just that aluminum lit cabinet. So if they really
Right.
think the sign makes a difference, then that should be even better, right?
So I can-
Instead of like a
that.
Yeah.
on
So
both sides.
Right,
it's the entire face of the sign area, and it shall not include the frame and structural support unless the structural support's determined to constitute an integral part of the sign design.
okay.
So typically that, if you're talking about like columns on the side,
Yeah.
that would not be,
That would not be.
I don't think so.
Can anybody think of a similar one that we're kind of talking, maybe that same base with columns at the side, stone cap on the top? Trying to
Right,
think.
so I was thinking, what if the columns only went up to this height and then this leaf was above it?
Oh, that'd be fine, I think
Yeah.
too. Even just saying, just take it up to like, have the cap stop somewhere like right there so that
Yeah.
this piece sticks up. I'm okay with that. I mean, that to me, I think in the end of the day is still.
You guys see what he?
Is it allowed to be still the aluminum sign though?
That's where I was concerned.
So,
I guess there's
Be
not
more
really, like,
aesthetically
the aluminum
pleasing.
sides and things won't be exposed.
No, they
to the-
won't,
and the
right.
top is, if it's aluminum, you won't see it.
So I'm still
Unless
trying
you
to
ran-
understand, like, that's gonna be like painted aluminum, so there'd be like a white background,
no,
or,
no, it's made out of aluminum.
okay.
So, and then there's just graphics put on the aluminum. Yeah, so there's some.
Vinyl graphics.
Vinyl graphics, yes.
It's vinyl graphics, so they're
So-
flat, there's nothing
Yes,
raised.
no.
Thoughts on that?
I think it's unattractive.
I'm just, I'm concerned because we've denied other signs that wanna do similar. and-
Okay,
and
We
that
did make
starts
a
to
lot
create
of
a
them do the
problem.
raised sign, or at least the letters that stand off. And
We raised
Yeah.
dimension.
You said we
Yeah,
did or
raised
we did
dimen-
not?
We made people
That's
on a
what I
couple of the
thought,
other
yeah.
proposals
Including in
recently.
that industrial area on Highland Road.
Yeah. I think STG was recently the one that we did that on.
So
So,
I guess what
yeah.
I'm kind of here is
Okay.
we'd probably be okay, as much as we like the existing thing, kind of know the limitations of it, because it's a
Right.
smaller area, it'd be a pain to probably change that out, and maybe they may not even have changed it a few years ago when we were looking at it, not looking back, because they ran into the same problems.
right.
We'd probably be okay with getting rid of the whole thing, coming with something new, if it did something like that, with the columns and the sign itself, if we could do something besides just the, as Ms. France suggested, with the individual raised letters
Right,
and the
okay.
logo,
Okay,
that size would probably be okay. I
okay.
don't think there's any color issues, is there? Go ahead.
And I appreciate the commission's trying to help design the sign for them, but I'm just really struggling with understanding what that inset that says Summit Point is, how that's made. I don't think that's all fabricated as one piece. I feel like that's a separate piece inset into the sign.
The existing one? You're talking?
It is. That's
And if
a
it's-
stone piece
It
almost.
feels-
Stone, yeah.
Is it? Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. I have no idea. I have no sense of how that comes out. If it can come out. I mean, if some documentation can be provided that it can't be removed without destroying the sign.
Well, I
then
think they're gonna destroy the sign anyways. I mean, That was their whole purpose, to rebuild that sign. So,
Because there's something functionally obsolete about that sign. What I'm hearing is the sign's pretty attractive. I don't know that there's anything functionally obsolete about the sign. And if you can replace the inset to work with your new color, logo, and scheme, is that possible?
possibly, but what do you want that made out of? Stone with
Well, I think that's a.
raised
that's a-
letters, or?
I feel like that's a flexible discussion with the commission, maybe it's a compromise if you can keep the structure with the arch and the way it's designed now and allow the aluminum with non-raised dimensional letters because you're compromised. I don't know, I'm just talking out loud, but I also don't know why you can't do raised dimensional letters.
Okay, let's say if we did, but what do you want that backing? Is it still, can it still be the aluminum?
Sure, it feels to me that aluminum with raised dimensional letters is a
Right.
lot better than aluminum with vinyl
Right,
decals that are printed on some plotter somewhere.
Right,
I would just,
Color in there. Don't you
I would
want some
just
color
say-
in your sign.
yeah, we're not saying she can't have the color.
right.
But the existing sign, of course, you can't see it very easily as you drive by.
Well, I think
Yeah,
if
that's
they
the point.
made this panel some kind of an aluminum,
Yeah,
then
with-
you
with
get the
some color,
color on
yeah.
there without a problem.
Well, I go along with that,
I think if,
sure.
what I would say is almost make it like that sandstone type color in the background, be a sandstone type color, and then
Something
use
neutral.
your,
Add some color,
yeah, and then have the
so you
color.
can see it from the road.
So you probably got like two options, kind of like try and reuse the thing and come up, we'll be a little bit flexible with maybe aluminum, but with some raised letters, or I think we still want to see the raised letters on something. And if it needs to, if that's much bigger than the panel there and you can't make all that stuff work, then come up with something much more decorative than just the base.
Right. So can the address be vinyl? Bottom part of that sign, if these were all raised letters, can that be just vinyl across the bottom of the panel?
I'm not sure what you did.
Isn't
by
does the
It-
vinyl come off over time though? That would be my only concern,
Oh.
just with it being,
Years and years, but yeah, use quality, non-UV stuff, so.
What would you normally use for, like, acrylic letters, is that what you?
Yeah, acrylic letters basically, or,
And they push
Push
pin
through,
type? Yeah,
yes.
push through?
Yeah.
And what would the backer be on that type of a sign application?
it could be anything basically.
It could be aluminum?
Yeah,
What else could it be?
it could be wood, it could be brick, it could be, yeah,
Mhm.
pretty much anything. Yeah, anything you could drill through basically.
And that existing sign, are those like routed into is that like a sandstone material?
I believe so, yeah.
looks like it is.
And
It
is
looks
it
like they,
like routed in?
Yeah,
then they painted like, or did some kind of color
So,
inside those,
yeah, the
the
letters.
routing to make Summit Point pop out.
Pop out, yeah. It's really attractive.
It is.
I think we'd like to see one of those two options. As for the address, you just trying to avoid more raised letters, or are you trying to get
Yeah.
that purple color behind it? I guess.
both basically.
Because I mean,
But we can
could you
still,
put the color behind it with the raised
yes,
letters?
yes,
That might be the
we can
best.
still do that, okay. Can we possibly come up with a solution and not have to come back, get an administrative approval?
I don't know, it's kind of a
Please.
complete
Do the whole thing.
I mean, I guess, well, I don't know, it's tough. Do you have any idea which way they would be going of those two, trying to fit something in that spot, or?
My guess would be probably to build the pillars and the base, and then, the aluminum can be painted that sandstone color with the raised letters.
I'm trying to think, I mean, I guess, if we did the administrative review, if you came back with something that's not one of the two things that we're kind of thinking of, which
Right.
is replacing the panel
Right.
inside the existing thing, or
Right.
coming up with
Okay.
the outside that's kind of like what Scott drew up. If it's anything
Right.
besides that, where the administration doesn't feel comfortable, it's not, or do you not like
Not
any
at
of
all,
that
no.
idea?
That's
Uh,
something that you guys should approve.
Okay, he's definitely, yeah, I think we're putting too much back
Okay,
towards the pushback, so, but,
Continue it.
yeah, I think we were gonna need to continue to have you come back. It's too much options.
Unfortunately.
If it was one minor thing, like extend it 6
Gotcha.
more inches,
Okay.
we might be okay to do something like
well,
that.
they want me to ask. So,
Okay,
all right,
so I'll make a motion to continue this to the next meeting,
okay.
I'll second it.
okay?
And I think I heard you say you were continuing it for the purpose of the applicant exploring the existing sign to determine if the inset, if it's feasible to work within that existing inset. So do another one as an alternative then to look at columns and redoing the entire sign, but with all the options, both options would be with raised letters, dimensional letters, with possibly using aluminum.
Just want to go to the recording, Susan, or do you want to say all slow?
Say that in English, yeah.
The recording, okay, then that's correct, you heard correctly. And Susan, what's the deadline for the next meeting? Is that, I assume it's coming up pretty quick, it's probably in our packet,
It's probably next Friday.
okay. You may want to double check on that, but it might have to be something,
Yeah,
to
no
get on the
worries.
next one, it'll have to be turned around pretty quick.
Yeah, no worries.
All right, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, thank you.
Appreciate it.
June 21st is the deadline. Yeah,
Did you say June 21st?
June, yeah, according to
That's
this.
Friday.
For the July
Yeah, this
meeting,
Friday,
it's Friday.
Got nothing. Next is Villa Lago signage.
Yes,
Come on up.
Fred Span, North Coast Sign Works. So basically proposing, replacing the two signs that were existing with two signs that are well under the 50 square feet, which was part of the code that was required. You had some points here, if you want to go over those and address those first.
Yeah, Mr. France to review his thoughts, if you don't mind.
Yeah, my report dated June 1st. So, as the applicant said, they're looking to do some replacement signage. Unbeknownst to me, there's actually 3, apparently, ground signs for this one
There's one at the
small
corner.
residential development.
Yeah.
And the way the code reads under 117907G, it says that there's a maximum of 2 signs to identify a residential project, whether single or multiple family. And the 2 signs are only permitted when development contains 2 separate entrances. In this instance, the development has only 1 entrance and therefore allowed to have 1 identification sign. Obviously, we have multiple identification signs.
Correct.
So it's legal non-conforming to the current code. And so, when you want to make changes or alterations, you'd have to bring the existing signage into compliance with the current code, which allows for 1 and not in this instance 3. So that's first and foremost the biggest issue.
Can I address that one first? Basically, you can hand some of these back. This is what was existing. Not to jump to the other point, but the other point is that one lady just said the columns don't count in square footage. It's just, it's being affixed to the wall, so therefore that point shouldn't matter for the second one, as far as us being over for the square footage. As far as this, I called the city, nobody could find any paperwork as to when it was granted, the whole thing, so I figured it was grandfathered. No problem removing that third sign that's on the corner.
Down at the corner
Yeah.
by Highland.
I mean, so again, I couldn't get any paperwork as to when it was granted, the whole bit, nobody can get any paperwork.
Mr. Franz, has something changed? Because there's a lot of neighborhoods around that have one entrance and two signs at that one entrance.
Yeah, I
There are
don't
a
know. I mean, we amended the code about 5 or so years ago.
And this was 22 years ago, I think, the
Yeah.
was built.
And maybe when we amended it, it previously was only, it didn't have a cap or something, I don't know. But I know when we amended it, I don't think we ever changed these requirements. I'd have to go back and look. I don't recall changing these. We kind of didn't deal in this particular part of the code very much when we did the amendments.
I'm sorry, which part, the two signs?
Yeah, the subdivision project signs.
Okay.
So we could put a push pin there. I don't know that answer, but what I would say is if there's no documentation, either from the city or that you could produce as the applicant, the only thing the commission could do is consider them legal non-conforming. And then that's how, then the code treats legal non-conformities in a certain way.
I wouldn't have the paperwork, the city should have the paperwork, in my opinion.
Well,
And I called numerous times, I spoke with you as well, and you couldn't find anything.
well, let's stop there. We'll double push pin. So I remember we talked, and I
Yes.
told you as a consultant, I have a lot of my own records, and I go back with reports and things. I don't keep all paperwork. If I did, I'd have to have a warehouse about 50,000 square feet to
Correct.
keep the paperwork here. But, so I don't have all that, but I have old reports and things, and I have nothing to show how it ever happened, is what you and I talked about.
Correct.
And I suggested you contact the city, maybe they'll have something.
They had,
If they don't, they don't.
Did you give me a records request for that?
I
you
didn't put in a
supply-
formal, and you had recommended that when we spoke late last week, when you and I spoke. No, I just talked on the phone with various people and nobody could find it. I assumed that Mr. Franz would be
You
the.
would have talked to, you would have talked to me.
Oh, okay, yeah, so,
Did you, that's why I'm asking if you turned in a records request.
no, I did not. I did not. But at the same time, I mean, there were two existing signs that were, if you counted the walls on them, they were over 200 square feet each. We're just asking for, and these signs are beautiful, by the way, in this brickwork, and the beds are huge, and they would look beautiful in there. It's just, I figured it was gonna be grandfathered. I wouldn't see why not. I mean, based on other cities that I've dealt with.
Just to clarify, there's no such thing as grandfathering in zoning. It's legal non-conforming, and that's what we're saying, is we're not saying they're illegal, at least I'm not. My position is they're probably legal non-conforming, meaning somehow in some form or fashion, they were permitted at some point in life, and they're not anymore. And that's very common in municipalities all across the country.
There's no grandfather clauses?
That is, it's legal non-conforming.
Okay.
It says that it's allowed to exist, but when you go to make changes to it, you need to comply with the current code. The current code says you can only have one sign. Now, I will address the other issue that you mentioned as it related to the prior applicant and the structural supports. This particular section of the code is not what we were dealing with the last applicant. And so in this particular case, it's a residential subdivision sign treated differently, and the columns are included, and the overall maximum area is 50 square feet for residential identification signs.
Okay, well, across the street, they have 10-foot high walls by 20, and they have, their sign is affixed to that right across the street, which was built after us, and, I mean, I just figured this was gonna be easy, guys, slam
But it
dunk.
was probably with the code then when it was built, but probably isn't now. If they would come to change it, they would also have a similar situation. I'm confused because the picture you passed out here,
Yeah, that was removed, the
That-
walls were removed since.
like last year,
The end of last year, the beginning of this year, basically they were in bad shape, and versus putting new concrete, paint, this and that.
Yeah.
It looked dated, so they tore them down.
well, I'm looking at Google Street View of May 2022, and it has the white walls with a sign affixed, and then very recent, the walls are removed, and there's a sign there, and I don't think you guys have been in front of us for that change either.
As
So-
far as turn the walls down, I wasn't even dealing with the board at the time. I have no idea. I do live in the development, however, but ironically,
Yeah, because this picture you showed with the bus, that's from September 2011.
right. It was just going back. I mean, that was recently, the walls were recently taken down. When exactly, I don't know, end of last year, beginning of this year.
Yeah, so.
Was the
Kevin,
sign
could I ask a
fixed to
question?
the walls?
It
That's what I'm trying to
it's-
determine.
it's
If
like
they
a
just,
sidewall.
it looks like they did
I'm sorry,
take the
didn't I
sign
hand
that
one of
was
those
on the
pictures?
wall and
I
then
handed
just
the
put it on
picture.
posts. See, here, I don't know if you can see it from
Yeah, they
there.
just recently tore the fixture down, or the walls down. And like I said, they were
I like it
32-foot
without the
walls
wall.
by 3.5 foot.
Yeah, just, it appears, I can't say for sure, it looks like the sign that was on the wall is.
No, that's
the wall,
you're
and then the
exactly
sign's
correct,
just on
yes.
some type of post or something. I can't see from the picture.
Yes, Mr. Cox?
Yeah, maybe Brian, or wouldn't a variance be the way to move this thing along? You'd have a pretty good argument. I think you have a real good argument. And wouldn't that be the way to move it along? Get a variance for the fact that there are two signs and, I think you even suggested that, didn't you, a variance?
Well, what would you be given a variance for? So are you
To be allowed the
suggesting
two signs that have existed there for 20 years or something.
the existing? The existing? Or are you saying they can go get a variance for two signs now?
Right,
Yeah. Yeah, that's an option. There's administrative relief built into the code,
I think so. It
Yeah.
strikes me as the way to move it along.
But even though they
We
changed.
can't approve it.
Would they
that way.
approve a variance?
Apparently not. There's no such word as grandfathering.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm confused a little bit how clearly they just did it without approval. So they took the signs off the walls, they got rid of the walls, they
I
fixed
I
the
had no part in
posts.
that, but my best guess was.
Somebody did.
It was in disrepair.
Somebody did.
Well, the homeowners association, they paid somebody to do it. It wasn't
Yeah,
me.
sure, but yeah.
If they'd asked me, I'd have told them, wait, but I wasn't part of it at the time. It was basically in disrepair versus putting the money in. It was cheaper just to tear them down and remove it. Whoever built them originally didn't put much of a foundation there, so they were crumbling. A little kid goes over there, things have happened.
I like it a lot better without the walls, but I'm just saying it was
Well,
a
yeah,
change,
I
so
agree.
the HOA
You
should
should
have
see
come in
these
front
signs,
of
they're
us.
beautiful, and they're dimensional, and there's gold leaf on them, and
Do you
Very nice.
know if they got a building permit for the sign demolition and re-securing the sign?
they didn't re-secure it, they just put a post in, and
Well, that's securing it.
like I said, I wasn't privy to any of that. But my guess would be no if you don't know about it.
And then, would zoning even be able to approve a variance? Because they have to prove
Well, that's, I guess,
some type of,
Yeah, I mean, that's their application to prove they have a practical difficulty. So we wouldn't be able to speculate if they would or wouldn't.
I mean, if it was wide enough in the middle there, like it is across the street to build a
that could be
monument or
potentially
something.
the practical difficulty is the
Yeah, you
lack
can't do
of
it.
space.
You can't do it versus like across the street, which is built 3 or 4 years after Villa Lago.
so it sounds like your options are to modify everything, redo it, with one sign, or try to go to the BZA and see if you can get,
Well, it's gonna be the BCA because basically one, in the middle, it's not gonna work. Blind spots, people pulling out. I mean, there's just not the room for it.
or go with one sign that fits in with the requirements. Just
Right, I'm saying one sign is up to 50 square feet in the code. The two of these together are under 50 square feet.
Not the way he's interpreting, right, Mr. France?
Well, interpreting with the masonry, which.
I think he explained that it's a different situation.
Right, but across the street, again,
Okay, you can't keep pointing to something else. You have to meet the code.
Well, no,
We can-
no, no,
We
I'm
cannot
saying when I-
approve it if it does not meet the
Understood.
code.
What I'm saying is
Okay,
that
I make
go
a
to get the
motion to
variance.
table, or should we reject? I don't know. We cannot
I know,
approve
I
what you
understand. What
have.
I'm saying is to get the variance, then I use, or go for the
No,
variance.
no,
like
that's
you
not
said
what
as
you,
an example.
you keep making the argument that this guy has it, this guy has it. You think it should be interpreted different. None of those are options for us.
We don't make the code, we just have to make sure that it's followed at this point. And the sign across the street may not be in compliance with the current code, but that doesn't, it's irrelevant until they decide to make a change to it, and then they would also have to conform to the current code. So you guys have decided to make a change, so that's why it's affecting you before it would be potentially affecting them. Unless I said that wrong.
No, I understood.
I'm trying to see that.
So even if there's a case where there is a one egress development and they have two signs, that probably wouldn't apply either, because up to date, if it was done before 5 years ago, whenever you rewrote the, everything,
Yeah.
then it,
And I agree. I think that's unfortunate that the code's that way, but it's my understanding the way the government works is that the city council would then have to pass a resolution to change that code. And then if they would ever choose to do that in the future, then we have to make sure that the signs meet that code. So
or to grant a variance, correct?
Or to grant a variance, correct. I'm trying to see when the deadline is for
I
that.
guess I'm also not quite sure I agree that it wouldn't fit on a center island here to do a sign on both sides of that, because this bus is way out in front of like where that,
There is an apron that goes back.
right, so it could sit, I mean, I don't think it would block, from what I'm seeing right here, that bus is well in front of where that sign would sit if it were to go in that middle center island.
You could drive through there. I mean, I go in and out of there every day. I'm pretty familiar with blind spots and the whole bit, but
I'm just trying to give you another option.
no, I wish it was that easy. I
That would-
thought about it already.
Well, I guess if your intention is to go to the BZA, we could continue this to another meeting. It's gonna probably be, this is June,
I
probably
can't
be the
find the
August
date.
meeting.
You don't happen to have the BZA deadline, do
I
you?
don't.
Yeah, I'm looking for it here. I'm not
But-
finding it on
Yeah,
the
it's
spot.
in your packet. If you open up the application, the calendar is the last page of the application for BZA.
Like I said, it'd be my recommendation, I'd like to make a motion that we continue this to the August meeting
I'll second.
to allow the applicant to address the issues.
I'll second.
Mr. France, anything?
No, I think I heard you say address the issues noted in my June 1st memo.
Yes. All right, any more discussion? All in favor? Aye. All right, thank you. Here it is. All right, next up, B&B Theaters. Probably really nervous now.
I'm not at
Those two
all.
guys.
Not at all.
Usually the sign stuff's
Because-
quick.
Because for the first time ever, I'm asking to modify what was on the drawings.
Yeah, we got some changes there to
Do
earlier
you need
today.
these? I
Yeah,
brought the
those
10 sets.
revisions?
Yeah, this is one set of the revisions. This is the original revision.
Is there a new revision, sensor revision?
There is an option
Okay.
that, oh, no problem.
You've got-
But I'd like to get through this one
got
first
the
and then the other one's a
email.
quick yes or no.
That's all. Just wanted to ask. if
It's
we
one of those
needed to
things
look
where
to
an
see-
owner has asked me to ask the question.
I just need.
You guys
I don't think it's a
Yeah.
bad
Is
idea.
this what we were emailed today?
This is what we were emailed today.
Yeah, I
Probably,
believe
yes.
so.
Do you want a paper
The
copy?
revisions.
Yeah.
I'll take.
Should I just let them pass them out to guys?
Thank you.
Thank you.
More, okay.
Who didn't I give one to?
Mr. France, you haven't seen this, have you? You haven't seen this, have you? Those revisions that we were emailed
This,
today?
this is the,
We got it.
this is the one we submitted to
I
you
guess you're getting.
last week.
Oh, this is the second
Yeah,
revision.
yeah.
I thought this was the third revision.
No, this is the second revision.
Oh, I have.
I'm holding on
Okay.
to the third revision.
Oh, they keep it.
And it's not real, it's, yeah. Like I said, that one's an easy yes or no once we get through this.
I emailed out to the planning commission.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So
I have your second.
really quick.
Yes. And did we end up with a spare?
I have.
Oh, there's one right here.
Oh, thank you. Because I gave away. So I appreciate everybody. Again, I want to apologize. This will be the first time in 20-some years that I've appeared before a planning commission with a set of modifications to the application. But after talking to Mr. France, we realized that the original application was very incomplete and well oversized of what was allowable. We were also confused as to city ordinance versus Macedonia Commons. Is it a master sign plan or whatever we want to call it? And so we thought it would be best to go ahead and get on the agenda, appear figure everything out, and then probably what's going to happen is we're going to reapply, reappear, unless whatever we're doing meets whatever the current statutes is. I don't know if, this is one question I have, I don't know if we would have submitted a sign package that was completely in compliance with the ordinances and with the master sign plan, if it would have just gone straight through and been approved by staff, or if it automatically had to come back to planning, and it comes back, okay. Great. So what we're proposing is actually two different signs. The easy one's on the back of the building, which is probably the very last page, and it is 191.5 square feet. It is basically, it's about 5 foot tall. I believe it's 4'11", but they give me everything in inches, and I don't know how to run a calculator. So, but it's under the 6 foot requirement as per the sign plan. But it would be, like I said, it would go on the back of the building. We would not put signs on either side of the building as Cinemark had. But where we get into the issues is on the front of the building. And so if you go to the very first page, the rendering, the grand screen and the Screen X sign in that right middle section are gone. We would love to do them, but that's going to put the area so far out of kilter, and that grand screen is very proportional. And so to bring it down to a 6 foot sign would be very problematic. And so we've just decided at this point that we will eliminate those. If we want to add them later, then we will come back and appear before not only the planning, but also, I'm sure, the Board of Zoning Appeals to address it. In a perfect world, we'd love to, what you're seeing in the middle section with the B&B crest is what we refer to it as, and then the B&B theaters underneath, that is our brand, that is our logo. Proportionally, that's how we'd like to do it. The problem is that I believe, I think it's on the next page, the crest is 180 inches tall, which by my math is 15 feet tall. Well in excess of the 6 foot. We can make that smaller, but if we bring it down to 6 foot and leave the letters at 4.5 foot, then our brand logo is so out of proportion that our ownership and our design team is very concerned about what that will look like. So one of the things Mr. Franz and I talked about was eliminating the logo, take the B&B and stack it on top of the theaters, make both of those 6 foot signs or 5.5, whatever will fit respectively on there. Treat it as one sign with each of those sets of letters being 6 foot. And am I characterizing our conversation correctly as far as?
We had a couple, that sounds,
Right.
that sounds familiar.
Okay. But we wanted to present that before you guys. First of all, if you will allow me to do a 15-foot B&B crest, then I would love to do that, and my life got easier. But I'm not a betting man on it, just because it creates, it's outside of the master sign plan.
I got a question. Just to clarify. So in there, I know this is the original.
Yes.
You submitted. Is this?
We've eliminated both of those pieces.
So you're proposing, if you didn't have the crest, where would the B&B theaters?
We
go?
would stack the B&B on top of the theaters. So it would be, instead of it being,
It would be B&B and
it'd be B&B on top and then theaters on the bottom.
Oh, without the crest.
crest.
I understand.
And I can-
Okay, so the sign.
I can
'cause
show it
that was the
to
other thing.
you.
This facade is not the facade of that building. So you're not-
Ratio rise, that is not correct, but that
Okay.
is what we're looking at.
And you're not proposing changing the facade of the building?
Not at
Because
all.
that doesn't match the building as it
Not at
exists?
all.
Okay,
No, this is, all it is signage.
okay.
We're cleaning up some of the facade where there is either ephes that needs to be repaired, or masonry that needs to be repaired or cleaned, but we're not making any design changes to
We
the front of the
appreciate
building.
that. Okay.
May I ask a question?
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Kevin?
Yep, go ahead.
So I think you were saying, does this sound familiar when we talked about, that was the one right at the start of the meeting is what I think what you're
Right.
talking about. Okay, yeah.
Right.
Because if I heard you correctly, you're proposing to take the B and B, put it on top of theaters, and both of those letters would be 5 or 6 feet.
5 or 6 feet tall.
So the way the criteria reads, it says all signs, which is composition
Right.
of whatever you want to make it out to be, letters, crests, or otherwise, shall be a minimum of 36 inches and a maximum of 72 inches.
Right.
And you can take the letters of that sign that's a maximum of 72 inches and put them on 2 lines. So you can't exceed 72 inches.
I can't succeed, okay.
Yeah.
My understanding was that we would be able to do 6 foot on both of those, but,
Yeah, I know, that's not how it reads. The
Okay.
sign is a maximum of 72 inches, and you could put the letters on 2 lines of copy, but you
But it
can't
could not
exceed
exceed.
72 inches.
okay.
Yeah, so that kind of blows that.
We're correct, because
Out
it
of
would,
the water.
you wouldn't be able to see the sign.
Yeah.
It would
and
be smaller than the current, the old Cinemark signs.
Yeah, and like when you and I had talked, so if you just did the B and B, stretched it across, you could
Mm-hmm.
do 72-inch letters all on one single line.
They will not fit on that section of section of the facade projects out, so it probably is limited to that size sign, which is, I mean, 4.5, 5 foot sign is very readable. We do those all the time. And it would obviously match the sign in the back. They're exactly the same. So it sounds like stacking wouldn't be a solution. It would be doing basically what you guys have in front of you, but just eliminating the crest and putting the B&B theaters across the top.
And you don't have there's no world in which you could do 4-foot letters and a 2-foot crest?
No,
It just doesn't work.
the crest is it's family-owned and operated company, and it's the 2 families. So the B&B is more important than the theaters.
Yeah, I'm
But
not-
the theater has to be on the building so people know what it is.
Yeah, no, I understand. I'm saying you couldn't do a 2-foot tall crest on top of a 4-foot tall set of letters that say B&B Theaters?
We can. I don't believe our ownership or our design team is going to agree to do that. They would rather just run B&B theaters across the front than do the crest. The crest is, I tried to change the crest once when I was marketing director, and I won't make that suggestion again, and these people like me. So it's a very important logo to the family. So I understand what you're saying. I would make the change in a heartbeat. But
The crest is an important
Yes.
logo to the family.
yes,
But the crest at 15 feet tall versus
15
5
feet, they would do 40 feet if you'd let them.
Yeah, so
The crest-
we're not, that's what I'm saying, we're not impacting the crest. We're saying put the crest up, just reduce the size.
But by reducing it, you do impact it in their eyes. And
Yeah,
a 2-foot tall crest out from the highway or out of Walmart, you would never see.
Yeah.
I understand what you're saying, and I mean, our workaround is just not to put the crest up and concentrate. That will be all of our marketing material, will have that crest on it, but it will also have the B&B theaters in that font on there. So I think what I'm hearing is the best solution is B&B theaters.
As big as you can
lengthways,
make it.
Big as I can make it, sitting on the facade. It would probably match the sign on the back. That would easily put us within the area.
Oh, yeah, no problem.
We'd go with the bronze returns. I don't believe, the only other question was 1 sign versus 2 signs. And I don't know if that was 1 sign per face or,
Well, did you already say you're eliminating grand screen and screen X?
correct.
Okay, so that's gone.
So it's just
You
B&B
eliminated the
theaters on the
crest.
front. Right.
Yeah, so you just have B&B theaters on the front.
And then
Yeah, one
B&B
on the
theaters
back.
on the back.
Yeah, so that's all I was gonna suggest. What about the crest on the side that faces to the north that people see?
We
You
can.
do a
I'll raise that
72-inch
too.
crest.
So,
Because
I'll
you've
raise
got
that
plenty
too.
of sign area to do
Correct.
3 signs. You can
Correct.
do 1 sign on all 4 facades.
Right.
You just can't stack them all on one facade.
The maximum that crest could be, would be 7 feet, is that right?
Uh,
70 or 72, 6
6
feet?
feet,
6 feet.
72 inches, yeah.
so it'd end up being 6 foot by 6 foot.
Yeah.
Which even if we did a crest on both sides and the 2,
We'd still be within.
we'd still be
the
well within, because we were barely, with all of this, we were barely over.
40 square feet.
Right.
That's
Because,
it.
yeah, the 2 foot by 2 foot, I could see, I mean, the B and Bs are gonna be this tall.
Yeah.
And they're way up there, I could see it's,
So, okay. And like I said, our goal for today was to just understand what the expectation of the commission was and what staff were, and then we would come back and adjust to that. It's not the first time I haven't gotten everything I wanted. So,
And then the faces, plastic.
So the B&B Theaters is halo illuminated. Well, I say that. There was a conversation at 4 o'clock this morning or afternoon of possibly changing that. But right now it is typically a halo illuminated. So the face is metal, the lighting is behind the metal, and it glows out onto the back wall and then out off of the wall. The issue with that is the dark brick does not reflect light as well as white ephes or gray ephes. So there is a conversation of going to a channel, traditional channel letter that has a white face on it and that would glow outwards.
Yeah, do a facelift.
Which I'm assuming I can do either one of those as long as I have a bronze return.
Bronze return, plastic.
right.
And you could do a facelit letter. And
Right.
it-
Right.
Plenty of people do it.
Yeah, so it would either be a facelit letter or it would be halo illuminated. We like the halo illuminated, it just looks a little classier, unless there's somebody behind me that has a facelit letter that's gonna get mad at me now.
I think you're the last
Think of
sign
the
on the
last sign for
agenda.
the day. So.
No, after
So,
Oh, they
so that then does answer my question about the third modification, because that sign is actually 12 foot tall. So, and it was just an idea of a sign that we're not using anymore. The city of Kansas City let somebody build an apartment complex right in front of our building, and so we lost all highway visibility on it. And so the idea was to take it down, bring it up here, and do it. But the B&B is 8 foot tall and the theaters is 4 foot tall. So since I can't have my 12 foot, then that one's not gonna work either, so. Any other questions? It sounds like,
Is there any
I
other?
have.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
There's two other issues, but.
Why don't you do that? Because mine's related to something else.
Well, the minor, so the black letters, the commission just has to approve that, which I would see no reason why you wouldn't. And then, but maybe just as a walk away today to know that that's acceptable.
right,
And then the letter can't exceed 5 inches.
correct.
And I couldn't tell based on this, but if you're
I
saying.
don't believe they're, but,
Okay, just having to
yeah,
mention it.
yep. I was surprised it wasn't dimensioned. So,
I didn't see it.
So what's the black letters is what, just all those letters being black?
correct. So the face of the letters. By the way, our director of construction is sitting back there laughing because he's been sending me pictures. He's like, did you put any pictures in the packet? And I went, I don't need to put pictures in the packet. He was wrong, he was right, and I was wrong.
What did recently,
The rack.
yeah, what did they come back? They changed it from one color to the
They
other.
had black letters and they said you can't see it during the
So
day.
there's what it would look like halo illuminated.
Right, and that's sharp, but I think
Right.
what we're talking about is
So they're all black letters.
will the black be seen during the day, and are you going to
Yes.
like that?
It
Yes.
will, okay, 'cause we
Yeah,
had,
the black during the day is not an issue. It's at night, because if we go over to,
what about the rack? Cause we're just
if you look
discussing-
at that lettering, while that looks really cool there, from the highway, you
Yeah.
cannot see it because it's just not bright enough. It doesn't halo
There's a lot
illuminate
going
out.
on there. Wow.
Yes.
We're just.
Yeah, and we thought we were being pretty muted here, so.
We're bringing it up because the rack who just went in over here, they actually got approval for black lettering on the same color brick that's on this building, or similar color tone.
Right.
And they actually came back to switch it out from black to white. 'Cause it
Although
wasn't
their sign is
legible.
significantly smaller than what this is, so.
Right.
It is, yeah, I just thought
Just
I'd
something to
ask.
think, yeah.
Yeah, and I agree, and that's why our designer at this point has said, maybe we need to look at the acrylic letters.
Yeah.
Or the acrylic face, and I'll let them have that conversation, and then we'll reappear. The thing that helps me is, if I feel confident that this is the direction we can go, and we're not gonna run into any issues, then I can have the designer start building the signs. And then I realize I go at risk because I still have to come back to you guys. And there's not an election coming up soon where we're gonna switch all the
Not in the
board
next
members.
month or anything.
Good, we can make that work.
When are they coming?
Thank goodness we're not.
The goal would be in, watch my director of construction's face now, early August. No, it's sometime in August would be the goal.
That's aggressive.
So,
Okay, so
For opening, is that?
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
I do have a question.
I heard
And this-
July 1st.
So this might be a question you guys can't answer, but I noticed this on the front.
Correct.
Looks like man doors with like a fire escape ramp kind of thing. That doesn't exist on the existing building
It
now?
does
So
not.
Is that something you're adding to the
Yes,
front?
in both of those auditoriums, we're moving the exit, the emergency exit out up onto the cross aisle. So when you first walk in the building where the handicap
So it's
chairs
gonna
are
be
at,
higher than.
it will be higher and we need to wrap
I was
down.
like, those aren't there, but I was like, oh, maybe this.
I
is
drove by it today to look at it because I'm like, oh, that looks really
Because,
weird on the front of the building, but
Because we're reconfiguring all the stadium, we're adding
Yeah.
risers to it, and so in order to do it, and when that building was built, the code requirement was that you only had to have one handicap accessible egress
Right.
out of a building, out of a room. Out of a building, you had to have at least two, but out of a room, you only needed one.
that's so unfortunate that's on the front of the
And
building.
ADA figured that one out, or fixed that in the latest incarnation.
So, I'm sorry, I did not realize, that's awful on the front of the building. So you're
Yep.
saying you have to do that?
Yes,
Who said that?
well, it's code. We have to have
Code
two,
requires
right.
that?
Okay, in order, it was code compliant as it was. But in order to move it, in order to do the stadium risers the way we wanted to do them, we needed to move it to the cross aisle, which is normal. We put them on the cross aisle all the time. But in order to do that, then we had to create that ramping out the front.
Ouch.
Yeah, I would not approve that. I mean, is
My
Pam
understanding, it's
looking
already
at that?
gone through building,
Didn't
Planning.
go to anybody, but the drawing was approved.
They didn't come to planning commission.
Huh?
Yeah, yeah. Huh. Yeah, it feels like that would require to go for design review.
And I've told them, they insisted the only change was the sign. I brought up the two ramps on both sides, and I told them they needed to come to the planning commission, so.
Who did you speak
They
to?
said it was already approved, which I'm not sure. I think the only thing that was approved, I think, was the interior work that's being done right now.
right.
But I don't think those two, I have to do some checking because I'm new here.
Right.
You know, but, see if the previous commissioner approved it or not. If
Right.
not, you guys need to come back to get that approved.
Okay. I mean, it could kill the project, to be perfectly honest. Those auditoriums are halfway done. I mean, I understand it's not aesthetically perfect, but, you know, in order to get the inside to be perfect, this is one of those concessions we have to make. that-
Is there a way to put a brick
what I
enclosure
was
somewhat
thinking.
around it that matches the brick behind it, so you at least,
Wall to match
yeah,
this.
a wall, I don't know how high that is, but something that comes out that's made out of the same block
I know it's been done on.
that would be kind of just to hard cover the railings.
Right,
Maybe it doesn't
I
have to go
understand what
high
you're
enough to
saying.
do the door, but
Right. I mean, we can have any discussion, like I said, you're kind of catching me with something new and.
right.
I guess I would say, because what you could do there is you could essentially eliminate, I mean, you would need to still at least have a rail going down, but you wouldn't need to have it designed that way. You could save some there and put it into the brick, because I think that's gonna be something that's definitely, there needs to be
Okay.
something in front of that to mask that on the front of the building.
Okay.
And knowing that it's critical to the project and required for accessibility, you know,
Understand.
work with you. It just, I think, yeah, aesthetically, if there's a way to make it as appealing as possible or to hide it
Okay.
with walls, I think.
Is that mask, that ramp, it's not been built yet, right?
No.
No, the ramp's not,
No.
that whole
They're
concrete.
getting ready to cut the doors out and move the door. The door that's already there, they were just gonna move it over. But essentially, there was a DOJ settlement on that building. And so they built ramps all over the place inside the auditorium. I mean, they're up, down, steps here, ramps there, and to clean all that out and make it ADA compliant, this is why it was basically proposed to be done that way. So the architect drew it up that way.
And they have to be raised up like that?
Because it matches up with the center of the auditorium, so 40% of all the ADA seating has to be in front of the wheelchair row to be ADA compliant. And because of that, they basically had the original exit door down a pit. And so that was at ground level, but to get it back on the cross side where the wheelchair ramps are, or the wheelchair spots are, puts it 3 or 4 steps up.
And I assume you guys explored some type of ramp on the inside of the building to bring it down to the sidewalk
Nowhere.
level?
Well, there's no room.
Okay.
Inch per foot, there wasn't enough space to actually put it inside the building unless you ran it across the front of the screen,
That would suck.
which we were trying not to do.
Yeah.
And
So-
you have some architectural floor plans that you'd be able to,
Yeah, TK did the remodel for Cinemark, and they drew all that. And that's the building variations that you saw that don't match, they had the original drawings, so they just pulled it, that's why they threw them on. Even though we weren't gonna change anything, that's what they had in hand, so that's what they put on the drawing.
sounds like, so obviously the commission tonight was just looking at signage. It was a great catch by our planning commissioner. So it sounds like it's possible to probably screen it. We don't want to kill the project by any means. Want you to be here, but super high aesthetics on this town center and in the commons, so there's gotta be a compromise to screening
Right.
that area.
Okay.
Just so from view on the front elevation, is that a wood ramp? Is that
No, it would be concrete.
concrete ramp?
Yeah.
They're basically gonna cut the stone out, pull the door out of the location it's at, fill it back in and make it match, and move the door over. So to get it up to the right elevation, it had to be up, so therefore it's gonna have to have a ramp to get it back down.
Yeah, I understand.
The biggest thing, we'll just have to get a quote, to find out what's gonna take to put it on the brick. I mean, we're pushing our budget pretty good, so.
I saved you on signage, Jim. I saved you on signage.
I have a feeling it's not gonna be a wash, though.
No. So, and I'm assuming you want it to be pretty, you want it to be a good-looking wall?
Yep.
Yeah.
It'd be great if it could match the
It should,
brick.
pile of gravel should match.
Well, just on the record, yes.
I mean, I would say that if the bottom part of that is actually, we're looking at the elevation right now, the bottom part of it is like that split face. So I would say it should match that,
So match the split face?
match that stone, so it almost basically masks itself.
Okay.
Where's that door gonna come up to then? Probably somewhere
Yeah, so
here there.
they just, if I understood what you just said, this existing door here.
Is going
That's
away.
going away, you're gonna fill
Correct.
that in, and that door essentially gets moved over here and raised up.
How high is that, how far up is that?
It's probably gonna go almost to the top of the fan. This is 2 portions. This is gonna be.
Is it gonna touch that top band, do you think? Cause the bottom part's like a split face or like a different color, and then you've got the red brick. Do you think it'll stay below that red brick?
It could move half a door, it could move half a door height and not
Yeah,
that.
I mean, we can look at that tomorrow, Jim, because they've already got it, they don't have it cut yet, but they've got it traced on the back of the,
On the inside or
On
on
the
the outside?
inside.
Okay.
Don't cut it yet.
but we can. So, okay. I understand your concern, I understand what you guys want us to do.
Okay.
That's the only exterior modification?
Yes, to my knowledge.
Yeah.
I guess from our standpoint, and I won't speak for the architect who drew it, we didn't consider that a significant modification. Yeah. So, and I guess we could ask the fire marshal if I can only have one egress out of those rooms, and he should probably say no, but,
We walked through there previously,
uh-huh,
and we looked at the plans. And right now, the building is built with exits, that many exits.
needs to stay.
We're gonna keep that many
Understood.
exits.
Yeah.
Our insurance company would also have to weigh in on that, and they sometimes are tougher than fire marshals, imagine that. So they, yeah.
So those are the only 2 theaters being affected by this?
Correct.
There's no others? Okay.
Yeah, when they had the DOJ settlement, that was basically what, I mean, when we walked in initially, there were literally ramps running all over the place because that was agreed to with the DOJ, so we either had to completely revamp it, make it fully ADA compliant, or not touch any of it.
Right,
And it's
right.
really kind of messy inside there, so
Yeah.
it was something we were hoping to clean up.
I guess just keep in mind that, you know, the deadline is Friday for the next meeting. So someone's gonna have to get on the horn and start cracking the whip probably first thing in the morning to get these walls drawn or whatever you propose. Signs will
Well, it
probably be
sounds
easy.
to me like the architect was aware of this, because the architect would have submitted the drawings.
I talked to several people there, and I told them that they should have came before this body for both, for the
Okay.
signage and the exterior change. They said that it was already approved. I'm going through the process right now to find out if indeed that was the case, but I haven't found any place where those two ramps were approved,
Okay.
so.
Well, if it needed to appear before this body, it would have either been me appearing before this body, or I would have known about.
Well, I suggested they would do both at the same time.
Right.
They absolutely refused to. So
Okay.
that's where we are now.
I will,
By the way, another question, what happened to your plumber? Your plumber, because he called and he said he doesn't want anybody to work under his permit and.
Apparently, they're having trouble getting to come back to the building and show
Oh,
up, so.
okay,
uh,
that's a good reason.
He started a bunch of it, and then, you know, the general contractor basically, said, yeah, he's having trouble getting him to show back up and finish. He's trying to get him to finish, but,
No show, huh?
so all the saw cuts are done, a lot of the rough ends done, and that's it. So,
And he did all that without a permit too, before he even got a permit.
really?
Yeah.
he didn't get it.
Well, we're off to a fine start here, aren't we?
That popcorn better be really good.
Popcorn would be great. I can attest to that right here, so.
I guess before we make any motion, is there anybody, do you have any additional thoughts, Joe? You know anything else?
No, that's it.
Okay. I'll make a motion to continue this to the next meeting, to the July meeting, so that they can address the signs that we discussed, address Mr. Francis' comments, and address the front, the ramp changes.
I'll
Ramp
second it.
additions. Yeah. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Thank you very much, guys.
2 foot 4 at the matter.
2'4".
5 hole L, 100, and the ramp, the ADA rows 2 feet, 100 feet 4. 2 feet 4.
I don't think it looks like.
Unfortunate. Right in the front of the building. Okay.
Yeah,
That's been bugging me since we
That
got
wasn't
this.
already there.
I honestly just thought that they'd
That
be
band
durable or something like that, you know, they kind of
Well, that door.
merge two theaters together.
Actually copied some from the
Yeah.
television.
It'll probably hit right about there, which will be fine, I'm okay with that. I mean, just not okay with it.
Yeah.
It is. I get it from an ADA perspective.
All right, next, Applebee's. Welcome.
How we doing?
Good, how are you?
We're proposing to replace 3 Apple logos, one on each elevation. We're removing the existing, replacing with new, similar graphic. Also removing 2 independent awnings, canopies in the building over the door, replacing with 1 connected corner canopy that wraps around the building. And then also on the monument sign out front, replacing those similar logos, 1 on each side. And laying a vinyl graphic over the neighborhood bar and grill that's on the brick below the monument cabinet. Out there.
I'm sorry, did you mention the awnings themselves, the red?
No, it's these 2 canopies over the door are what we're gonna be removing.
Okay.
And 1 solid. And to address that, I noticed Mr. France made a note about one of the red awnings having the Apple graphic on it that was not approved. I'm not aware of that, but I understand that that should not be there if it wasn't approved.
Well, every single awning has an apple on it as of today.
At that site?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Really?
everything's been done.
Took that today.
And see, in the scope work that was proposed to me, that the general contractors that are doing remodeling over there were doing the awnings. So, I'm not sure why those are done. I removed the Apple logos over there because they were supposed to be doing work on the building, like in those pictures, you see they're missing.
Yeah, above the, yeah.
Yeah.
I noticed I drove by last night, the apple up there is gone.
Yeah, I took those down. As far as the awnings, I don't know what is going on with those,
Yeah.
'cause it's not in my scope of work.
Yeah,
So that's an issue, I understand.
oh, yeah, yeah, I mean, it depends on how kind the commission is. I think it's an issue that would limit you from having any approval.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
Well, and walking in here, I did not know that, so I was gonna propose, there was one awning that had it on there that obviously
You can do
we
it.
could approve with the caveat that we'll make that one red, so that kinda throws a wrench in that, in that saying, oh,
Yeah.
that we can make that, change to it, but. it's,
I'm sorry, could we get your name for the record?
My name's Garrett, I'm with G&G Sign, I'm the sign installer over there that's registered with the city.
All right. Mr. Franz, you want to go over your comments?
Yeah. My report dated June 8th. So it's a, yeah, I mean, it's a fairly just sort of comprehensive update to the Applebee's signage. The 3 elevations proposed to change to a new 38-inch size logo that contains, it looks like a slightly different green than.
Yeah, the main issue is that red, it doesn't hold up well in the sun, the vinyl, so it peels, so that they would have just put new faces on them, but then we get into making them match up correctly, so they chose to just make a whole new capsule easier instead of making stuff fit.
And the trim caps and returns are proposed to be black and bronze is required. So if they've already put them up,
We haven't put those logos up
Okay.
yet. We can make those compliant, make them bronze, that's not an issue.
okay. And we talked about the awning, the 2 over the door, they're sort of curved or shaped awning. As you stated, you're looking to go to an L-shaped flat canopy that covers both doors.
Correct.
And I'm assuming there's a functional reason why they want to do that.
I don't know if it's functionality or just aesthetics,
Okay.
changing that. Those will be aluminum constructed awnings.
And then the same thing on the cabinet, looking to do the new Apple logo on the cabinet.
Correct.
And then, looks like the neighborhood grill and bar portion, they're proposed to be white instead of the existing gray, is that?
Yeah, to just make the faces of them a white vinyl over them. Those are a dimensional letter, like a acrylic letter on there now.
So, and then, I guess it's fortunate or unfortunate for myself, I've been around a long time. And in 2011, when they came in, they had the Apple logo on the canopy, and we said, you can't do that, no. They revised it and came back the next meeting with no Apple logo, and that's how it was approved. Somewhere from that point forward, they decided to put one Apple logo up,
Yeah,
which I was surprised, and then obviously we just talked about, they've since put up every awning now has an Apple logo. So I'm recommending the commission that not be approved that way, and just be solid red awnings. With regard to the L shape, I don't have a particular issue if it's L-shaped over both doors, continuous, or, 2 single press. I think the L shape probably provides a little more coverage, would be my
yeah,
guess.
it will.
So with that said, the signage itself, provided it complies with what's being proposed,
Right.
I don't have a significant issue with that. I do, however, have an issue with the awnings having the apples on them, and that should not be approved tonight if the commission were inclined to approve the application. Now, for the commission's sake, you could approve the application subject to, and then it's a bit of a trust factor. You seem like a trusting guy.
Yeah, well, hey, we try to do things the right way if we can. It's
Yeah.
usually easier, usually easier that way.
And Mr. Monaco wants to hold to the code, so I'd be comfortable with that. But the other alternative is you don't get an approval tonight. You're continued until those awnings come down, and then they can revisit the signage
Right.
as a way to ensure, almost like a performance bond, that it's done correctly. But that's up to the commission.
So it looks like, I was just looking at some photos of Google, it looks like, I'm guessing those were just done. probably before you came on, they just put all those logos on.
Yeah, or I
Or
would
replace-
propose to remove one awning when, not knowing they
Those
were all
went out
up.
there this
They
morning.
weren't, yeah, I was gonna say
When I
they weren't
went
out
by.
there this
Oh,
weekend.
this morning?
So it
They were not
happened
there?
All the
today.
apples.
I went by
That
at
quick.
9 o'clock this morning, they were not there.
They weren't there yesterday, because I drove by yesterday and looked at
So
it.
they
They're
weren't
up
up
now.
now.
We're up
When I
today.
drove by this morning and tonight.
Yeah,
Wow.
You're talking about the white apples on the awnings, right?
they're right on.
When'd you take your?
Yeah, that's what I mean, because I went by today, the picture I showed you, I took this afternoon, but I took another picture. June 10th is the stamp, I didn't get this, all the sides, but it looks like maybe 2 apples. Maybe there's one there, but I didn't get the other side of it.
This was last night, so maybe I just didn't see it.
I didn't see
Or maybe
it when I drove by
maybe
today.
one side of it was done or something, I don't know, this is, the side facing 80, or Macedonia. Either way, they were real recently done.
Yeah, there's obviously more than what the picture we submitted with the only one.
Yeah,
This would have looked at 12 o'clock today.
okay, that's what we're, yeah.
Yeah.
They're appled up.
So they're, yeah, all across the front, I see it on the canopies.
Somewhere real recent.
And the reason they're not allowed, it's, well, one, it's design, it's not attractive, but, they're signs.
Yeah,
And so you
I
have
agree.
multiple signs on the same building.
Square
facade,
footage.
and, yeah, square footage, a whole bunch of
Yeah.
issues.
Yeah. Well, and to your point about the, kind of holding us to following the rule or making them take them down, that I also hold that power too, that I can say, I'm not putting them up because that's not how it's approved for me. So I can also leverage that and say, till they come down, I'm not gonna change them, because then I'm not conforming. Just for everybody's knowledge of where I stand on it, that, like I said, I try to do things the right way.
So I guess from the technical side, from your side, ignoring those the apples on the awnings, right now, it would be the bronze returns, and was there something else? That was pretty much it from,
Yeah, I mean, square
What's being
footage wise,
proposed?
I think it's fine. The bronze return need to, just indicate that that's what the intent will be, and then have a revised plan that reflects that. The trim caps and the returns.
so then, and then,
I did have a couple of questions, if you don't.
yeah,
mind.
go ahead, please.
So, are you taking down the existing arches over the doors?
Yes.
Are you, and I'm assuming that you're repairing any of the brick that's
I
being
wanna
held
have
as
those
they're
recorded.
attached to the building?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, there'll be more repair there.
okay.
And actually, the new canopy goes right across there.
I
so
couldn't
any
quite tell
stars-
like exactly where, I know like maybe with the arch coming down, if it was gonna hit a point where it wouldn't. And then I guess how is that draining off of there then? Is that an
There are
internal?
no drains in it, it's capped on top. And the current ones don't have any drains in them either.
Yeah, I
They
was
come
more
off the
concerned
side.
like with those that the water's like shedding this way, I guess, like what's gonna prevent, or what's gonna keep the water from, or what's gonna get the water off of there, I guess? Is it pitched a little bit, or is it just gonna potentially have water sitting up there?
It can be designed to have the back raised, so there's a taper to shed the water, but as of right now, they're designed to just level flat, aluminum on top.
Okay. And then what about like snow load and stuff like that for them too? I know I'm getting into a lot
Oh, yeah,
of
I mean,
details, but
they're engineered, through bolted to the wall. I mean,
Okay.
that's the engineer saying they're sufficiently
Okay.
fastened, they need to be fastened this way through bolted with unistrut bars
Okay,
on the back side of the wall.
okay.
So I defer to the engineer when they tell us how to fasten them.
And they didn't provide us that detail, correct?
No, but
Okay.
if it's needed, we can have them stamped.
I would just say at least submit it to the building department for their record, just to show that it meets all of those requirements.
Right,
As long as somebody's done it, then I'm
okay.
good for that.
I don't know if we've had these engineered yet, but we can definitely have them stamped for this site. We've done other sites that I know
Yeah.
that we have engineered drawings for them,
Okay.
so it should be pretty straightforward to provide it.
So I guess our choices are to potentially approve these subject to these couple things, which I think, would be submit these calcs to the building department, which I think is probably pretty easy. Bronze returns, which sounds like you've agreed to. The only real sticking point is how to address the awnings with the apples on it. Do we say, we could say these are approved subject to those being removed.
Way I do it.
or ignore it and we just make Nino go after him, but I think this has a little more teeth to it.
Mr. Chair, it would be my recommendation not to approve this until those signs are removed from the awnings. They did it without permit, without approval. And, you know, if we didn't have a meeting tonight, I was gonna write him a citation today. So, I mean, I'm really disappointed that they would try to do that without approval.
Yeah, likewise.
Couldn't we
But it's
approve
your
it subject to removing it instead of having to come back here? That's what I would suggest.
I guess,
know
can we
it was
do
done.
subject, yeah, they won't get a permit for this work until those are removed.
They didn't get a permit anyway.
True.
So it'd be.
But at least, yeah, they won't, yeah.
So it's an illegal thing. I'd say subject, it would save them a trip back here.
I won't get a permit
Right,
until they.
right, until they remove it.
Can I, let me ask a question, just
Even though
because
they
it might be pertain to this, but on the other side of the building, shoot, I tapped it away. There's a Applebee's curbside to go logo on an awning. Is that also the new, or is that old and gonna be changed? That's what I'm talking about there, because then, is that part of signage and all that? See what I'm saying, like, is
I
that,
don't think it's,
It's not shown, I don't think it's shown on the plan.
there's to go,
okay, so maybe that is existing and has been forever and is
I
coming
bet you
down?
they no, I bet you they did put that up yesterday or today, or whenever they put the
Mr.
other
France,
signs
are you
up.
referring to a wall sign to go that was there?
mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I've removed that sign also.
Is that what maybe was there, where there's,
Yeah,
looks like
that's where they cast out
electrical?
the electric.
Today's thing, it wasn't there.
What's that?
It wasn't there before.
The car, the to-go on the wall?
Yeah.
Sure, it sure was, 'cause
When did
I
you
took it down.
remove it? When did you remove it?
I'm gonna say around a month ago.
Okay. I didn't see it.
Got it, but
It's
where,
right to the door up to the right, there's a
Yeah,
whip there.
I assume it was in this area here.
Yeah, I think what Jason's talking about is the awning
I'm talking
over
about
the
the
door.
awning with another sign over
Yes.
there that would have to be approved, right?
See,
See
you
what I'm
had
talking-
nothing to do with the awnings, correct?
No.
That was not in your scope.
I went
of
out
work.
there and I was instructed to remove some of the signs because they were gonna patch, fix, and then have me come back and put them up. I said, I can remove them, but I'm not putting the new stuff up without a permit. So that's where we're at now. That's why I'm saying I've been out there and removed some signs.
Okay.
But I did not install anything back up without a permit, including those awnings.
Thank you.
They have nothing to do with those.
So there is a to-go that's proposed.
A wall sign.
Yeah.
Yes.
An instruction, I really kind of interpret that as like an instructional sign.
Yeah, it's,
It doesn't contain their logo.
no.
It used to contain the logo.
It did.
I'm not sure how it got up there. I
But
don't
it-
recall
but it-
reviewing that.
It lights up though. So wouldn't that be a sign though?
Oh, it's an instructional sign.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that, what you're pointing to, Jason, is new. I mean, in
Oh,
the
yeah.
plan, that doesn't have that. So that was
Yeah.
another one that was
Oh, I
done
see.
today or yesterday.
Oh, no,
Yeah,
that's,
okay.
that's not.
Forgive me, I haven't been out there. since
Yeah, I know,
I
it just-
wrote the signs, so.
No problem.
Like
We
you said,
understand.
I
It's
don't know
not,
exactly
we
what's
know it's
going on
not
out
you.
there.
I'm sorry, I didn't realize it's on the awning too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
so-
was,
No.
Jason's point.
I took that today too.
Yeah, yeah.
And
that
it was,
would-
and it wasn't before.
Yeah, that can't be the case.
So, I mean, I guess it's all of those
The main issues are the.
red awnings.
The red
How do
awnings.
we,
Right, and I appreciate that they want something there to say, hey, this is where you go to pick up your food, but there just has to be.
Well, they're gonna have the to-go sign that he's gonna put up once we.
Oh,
approve
that's
it.
true.
To the right.
So to that right where that whip was, there's gonna be the to-go lettering there. So that, it's almost double marker, double telling you where to go there.
So this would not be considered a directional sign because it has the Applebee's logo and name in it? What's on there?
That's a sign.
That's a sign.
Right.
Yeah, that's not allowed.
Okay.
I didn't know
Yeah,
that
I'm
was
just
up.
trying to understand why, the difference between that and the to-go.
It doesn't contain their logos. So
Got it. Yep.
It's,
Okay.
so it's considered an instructional sign intended to instruct employees, customers,
what I
or
thought.
users to specific locations or activities in the building or on the site. It's an instructional sign.
Works for me.
And
All
then
right.
instructional signs just trying to find where they are in the code, or approved by the planning commission. But it's not a wall sign from the perspective of too many signs on one building elevation. Now, the other thing, on the awning, that is for sure.
Yeah, because the logo's there.
And clearly it's very evident they don't follow the rules. I'm not sure it's this applicant. I don't feel that's the case, but whoever's doing all the other stuff doesn't seem
appreciate
to
that.
be following the rules. And I understand Mr. Monaco's position, and I don't disagree with it, although if the commission takes no action tonight, that may not change the outcome that.
Yeah, I think if they really want to get their signs put up, they will comply with conditions that we put on it, which would be removal of the logos on all of the awnings.
Well, the awnings-
Side door, front,
The awnings
sides.
have to come to us anyways too, don't they? Because I mean, all the other awnings that we've been approving, we requested them to be metal so they don't fade and we don't have.
They are
issues.
metal.
Those are metal.
Those are metal,
Yes,
okay.
yeah,
All right.
I actually
Sorry.
touched it myself to make sure, so, yeah. The people eating in the window, they thought I was weird, but,
But
So do,
All right, so,
at that point,
What else is
you're
there?
not inclined, I would imagine, you're not inclined to approve them in advance of them not.
Well, no.
Make them come in. I mean, they
Correct.
should have to come in.
And to your point, they're gonna want their new signs up, especially since some of them are already down.
yeah.
So
And you're here telling the commission, you will not put those signs
I will
up, so
not.
Mr. Monaco doesn't need to
I
worry.
will not.
You're gonna go out and violate.
Yeah, but they probably let you go and get somebody else to do
That's
it.
the only catch, yeah. They could fire you.
Well, I mean, if they're gonna put them up, whether they have approval or permits or anything, they're gonna do that, you know, no matter what we say. I would just,
They don't follow the rules.
we'll see how the group feels. I'm gonna make a motion to approve with couple contingencies. One, the returns are bronze. Two, the loading calculations are submitted to the building department for the awning, or for the, what are we calling everything?
Canopies.
Canopies. And three, that all the awnings are, how do I want to say this, removed. Unapproved awnings are removed.
Awnings in violation are removed.
Yeah, the awnings in violation are removed.
any
And-
other ones have to come to you.
And any other awnings have to come to
all
us.
awnings do.
No permit would be issued until the awning issue is resolved.
They're already reoperating, aren't they, correct?
Yeah.
Let's see.
the restaurant,
Yeah.
I don't believe they're closed down. They were remodeling them at night, after hours, before hours.
Do you need a second?
I do.
I'll second it.
Is there any comments on that?
Then,
So basically, they gotta deal with a couple technical issues.
Yeah.
And the awnings have to come back. Awnings have to be, the unapproved awnings have to be removed. They won't get a permit until they get that dealt with.
can I ask, like, what recourse do you have if we pass this motion and they don't do anything?
I would cite them for not having approval from the, planning commission, or for not installing the sign as approved by the planning commission.
Yep, so they didn't get permits, they did anyways, what if they just keep going? I mean,
Well, I can put a stop work order, and I can order them to take it down.
I was gonna ask you, do they have any other approvals that they need to keep operating at this point? Because they've already, I'm assuming it sounds like they've already received their certificate of occupancy to reopen or after their interior renovations.
Yeah, but the approval they received was limited to the interior work that they did, so that was issued for that. The sign is a different issue altogether.
Yeah, I know, okay.
A separate issue.
I was just trying to think if there was any other
Things
that helped you to stand on as opposed to,
I'm okay with what they're doing. I could just act and make sure that they do it right.
Okay.
All right.
I do have one question.
Sure.
With your motion. Is my permit being issued contingent on them reappearing before it's issued for those awnings, or is that separate with them to deal with? Or am I getting
Yeah.
tied up in the snowball?
A little bit, I guess, to remove those, do they have to, can they just remove the decals, or do they gotta remove the entire awnings, put the old stuff back up, or do they gotta get approvals for new ones and then get the new ones put up?
And I agree that, I mean, I like what you guys are saying about having them appear here. I just don't want to get stuck contingent with somebody else not following the rules that.
Well, I can answer your question. I'm not gonna issue any permits until all those things are removed.
Right, okay.
Right. I think you're set. You have a motion and a second here.
Okay. Ready to take a vote? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so, might wanna, relay some of that back to them.
And there's a video recording on the website if they want to go back and hear the discussion.
Yeah, perfect.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you.
Appreciate it. Sorry you get stuck in the muddle.
No, that's okay. I appreciate that
Can you get us next?
understanding.
Yeah,
Thank you too.
next is Dunkin' Donuts,
Or is it just Duncan?
or Dunkin'.
I'm not Sarah. I'm Jason Scott. Sarah dropped a knife through her foot about 2 weeks ago, and she has PT today, so she couldn't make it up for the meeting. So I said, I will be here instead of her limping in for it. So
It's nice of you. Give us an overview, or can we get, I'm sorry, what did you say your name was?
Jason Scott.
Okay. Yeah, why don't you go ahead and give an overview of what's being proposed?
So the plan is to remodel the Dunkin' Donuts down the road. What we're here for is the minor exterior scope. We're gonna pull the 2 existing signs off the building, replace them with 2 new channel letter signs. Not sure if anyone knows, Dunkin' Donuts is not Dunkin' Donuts anymore. They got bought out by Inspire Brands. They're just Dunkin'. So anything that has DD on it, anything with donuts on it, Inspire Brands has said, get it off nationwide. We can't have any stores with it on anymore, so.
So that might explain why they were in front of us a couple years ago to make similar changes, but I think it was the DD logo.
Yeah, so they were trying to transition out. So when Inspire bought them 3 years ago, they didn't want to drop Dunkin' right away because they knew that the older generation knew them as Dunkin' Donuts or DD, but the newer generation, the kids, are calling them just Dunkin'. So they said, well, we got to slowly transition. So for the last 3 years, they got rid of Dunkin' Donuts on most of their signs, and they had DD, and now they're striking the DD and just making it Dunkin', or a cup with a single D inside of it. We've already seen the old logo with the cup and double D.
Yes.
They just dropped one of the Ds.
Got it.
So for here, we're proposing, put the word Dunkin' on one spot and then put the cup logo with the D on the other. That's the exterior sign scope. The existing monument sign, the brick base in good shape. The GC's just gonna power wash and clean all the brick on the building, and the sign vendor's just gonna reface that sign with the new Dunkin' sign. As far as the site goes, we're not making any site changes. Menu board's getting replaced for the new menu board. Clearance bar is getting replaced for a new clearance bar. Those are getting replaced in the exact same locations. So we're not proposing changing stacking or the way the traffic's gonna flow on the property. And then the exterior, the siding's already white, but even with power washing it, they know that sometimes that's not getting it the color they want. So we're just proposing repainting all the siding, all the trim and everything white again. So it's not gonna look any different than now. It's just a little better than power washing it.
Okay.
As far as the awnings and the canopies go, the goosenecks are very antiquated, so Dunkin' has pretty much on every store nationwide ripped all the goosenecks off. The whole purpose of the goosenecks on these type of canopies is to create lighting on top of the canopy because they're not internally illuminated. Hence, none of the new Dunkins even have sloped canopies. They're just going with, basically it's a horizontal trim band that goes over any of the windows that just gives a little up and down lighting if it's allowed by the jurisdiction. That trim band sticks out from the wall 4 inches and it's only 8.5 inches tall, and it's aluminum. Same exact orange color as the awnings are, no difference in color. The front entry would get a new actual canopy that's gonna be a metal one. I just drove down the road, it's the exact same ones that Raising Cane, Starbucks, Chick-fil-A, exact same metal ones they have on, we just would be doing the Dunkin' orange. And that's it, that's really the extent of the exterior. We're not trying to change the look of the building, change the color scheme. In fact, right now the awnings are about 2'10" tall, And when we go to the orange bands, you're gonna get 8.5 inches of orange height. So you're actually gonna get less orange appearing on the building when we switch the awnings out for the metal trim. Just again, a way of making it all fit with the prototype that Duncan's trying to roll out nationwide.
All right, Mr. Franz, you want to go over your comments?
Sure. June 8th is my report, and I did, Sarah didn't tell me that she stuck herself with a knife. But we did talk at length about the proposal, and we talked about the canopies, and I indicated to Sarah that my preference is to maintain a canopy similar to what's there now, and maintain the gooseneck lights.
Okay.
As opposed to this, 8-inch reveal with
Okay.
the underlights. And I think the commission has seen that in other applications and not permitted that
Okay.
in other buildings. And we had a nice conversation with that, and as it relates to that, I don't have an issue with the orange. It's been there the whole time, and to me, it's just part and parcel with the building. I know Pam maybe feels a little differently about the orange, but I don't believe there's anything that says you can't do it. It is in the town center district, but we allow color choices in the commons, which is the most restrictive architectural standard we have, and we do allow some color choice there, chosen by the applicant. So my recommendation would be, well, area-wise, the sign is fine.
Yeah, we've got a lot more than we need, but there's no point in making these signs bigger. It's gonna feel out of place on those faces of the building.
And I think it does meet the, sort of the scale of the front facades where you're putting it. It's fine. So my preference would be to stick with the shaped awnings like you have, and maintain the gooseneck, and I'm okay with the orange.
The goosenecks might be a problem. The brand is requiring every franchisee nationwide to get them off the buildings. They're not energy efficient even when you do LED bulbs, and they're just not easy to maintain. They fade, they just really don't look good. Kind of the brand's thing is, we're coming into the new age, don't use fixtures from 50 years ago, and I feel goosenecks are very much a dated fixture that when you see them on buildings, it's, okay, this probably got put up 30 years ago before LEDs came out, and that's why it's a gooseneck. But nowadays, we wouldn't put a gooseneck on a new building. We'd use other type of fixtures typically.
You can't do an LED on a gooseneck?
You can, but then you get the white glow, or you have to do the yellow LEDs. I've seen it done. It just doesn't give the appearance like the old incandescents. And if the goal has always been to kind of make the awning glow with these lights, you kind of lose that a little bit. All I can say is, this is kind of the brand telling all of us that, hey, we don't want nationwide any of our stores to have old feeling fixtures on it. And they've been telling us, as the architects, get all the goosenecks off unless it's required by code to have them on there.
Except you're in a district that requires you to feel old.
No, I get that. But their thing to me would be say, what they would ask is, can we keep the awnings and just take the goosenecks off?
Yeah, and you could take the LEDs and change the Kelvin.
Oh yeah, you can do yellow and blue
and go
and
down
white.
to like 2200, even down to like 1700. You're getting high pressure sodium glow.
Oh yeah.
So that you could do that.
They just don't want them on the buildings. They said they would rather not have it if it's not required.
That's
So,
different.
Yeah, they're like, it's a decorative light fixture, lighting an awning. If we don't have to have it by code, and the option is keep the awning and not have the light fixture, or take the awnings off together, they've in a couple of cases just taken everything off and said, well, we won't even put anything else up. We'll just have it be no shade over the window if there's not a code saying we no shade.
That won't happen. So you'll have to have the canopies, and the question becomes whether or not they're orange and they're shaped. And if you choose not to have lighting over the canopy, I don't think there's a code requirement that says you have to have lighting. But
we have to have canopies over the windows?
Those are there now, and it's a nice decorative feature to the building. The commission can say otherwise, but I would not recommend that they be removed.
Okay, I made a point to kind of drive around. I'm like, okay, I'm seeing buildings without any awnings at all in stores, seeing the ones with them over the canopy. I was trying to get the feel of everything right up and down that exact strip to go, okay, I'm driving past the Dunkin', what's the feel of the next building? What's the feel of the next building? And I saw multiple that had no awnings at all on the windows. They just had windows with brick lintels, and that was it.
And maybe older buildings, I don't know, when when they were approved or otherwise, but if they've been approved with a canopy, the commission has kept the canopies and just made them into more of a durable material like a metal.
Yeah, and that's what we're proposing the
Opposed to
audit.
vinyl.
And that's what the reason to go to the metal canopies was, because these things could become kind of a maintenance nightmare with
Yeah,
fading and everything else, so. And that's why the brands even said, like, the cost to the client, they generally don't maintain fabric awnings because they don't want to pay to reskin them. If it gets cut, you can't just go up there and patch it, but with the aluminum canopies we're proposing, if it gets scratched, you got touch-up paint, you just touch it up. If it fades, you just repaint it the same orange you got, so it's, what was being proposed was a more durable, long-lasting solution to what's currently on the building. So that's, again, that's their take on it, of trying to kind of get rid of maintenance issues they've seen on these buildings. Hey, no one's repairing these awnings. They're letting them basically fade into oblivion, and then at some point, just reskin it. And then it's 10 years, it sits there and just fades for 10 years. So with the orange, it's like, at least the metal, it's gonna stay fresh. It's gonna stay bright.
And this commission's dealt with the reskinning issue and they require it to be metal.
Yeah, okay.
All right, anybody else have any comments? No. Questions from the commission, I guess?
I think it looked better without the goosenecks. Is that, we kind of agree we can do it that way? Maybe I don't hear very well.
No, I mean, I the brand will probably would like to say, if we're going to make them keep the sloped awnings, because they really do not want those in their buildings, then they're gonna ask, can we get rid of the lights on top that they don't wanna have? So at that point, they're gonna ask to get rid of the goosenecks.
So what does it look like if you pull?
You do or don't? They do or
We
don't?
do wanna get rid of the goosenecks.
Yeah, well, I think that, they look kind of strange, I think.
They do, they feel very forced up there, and the whole purpose of that is just to create a glow on the top of the awning. Just, that's the whole point of that gooseneck.
You don't really
being there.
need 'em, right?
It's not lighting up the ground, it's not lighting up the property. If you were to do so if, the reason the goosenecks are here, I guarantee, was back when they wanted to do them, they weren't allowed to do an interior illuminated awning, because that's what they prefer. is to
I
make
think
it
that
glow.
Macedonia sort of likes the awnings, though.
Yeah, that's fine, that's fine.
We want the awnings, but
Yep.
the goosenecks look a little strange, in my opinion.
Yeah, and that's all I was saying, is I can push back to the brand and say, hey, we've got to keep the awnings, we're gonna have to reskin them in metal, but
Yeah.
the caveat is we can get rid of the goosenecks that they don't want to really see.
Well, this is the Dunkin' just down the street, about a quarter of a mile.
Yeah, those
Could
are
they be
the,
replaced with something not gooseneck?
those are, we can do those if, I'll put it this way, they will do whatever's required. If they are not required to put a light over these awnings, they don't want to do that.
Because like my thing is, I see both sides on the gooseneck, but also we have the Western Reserve architectural standard there, so that is kind of what Mr. Franz was saying, is it's old
Yep.
in a way, even if it's new. So maybe that's also part of it. I realized it was intended to light it up, but maybe the shape was chosen because it maybe went more with that West Reserve. That was before my time. But then my concern is if they remove them altogether, what kind of scars are going to be on their building, and what's that?
Oh, they'll
gonna
just
look like?
patch the brick. At that point, this brick's standard brick, they'll pull the brick out if they've got a big enough
Okay.
hole, they'll put in another brick. If they can patch it with mortar and paint it, they'll just do that. But I've seen it, usually when they pull the junction boxes, it's in 2 bricks, they can pull those bricks out, put in new bricks, regrout it, you're never gonna know it was there.
As long as it doesn't look like 2 new bricks with.
No, that's a
oil.
standard color building, that's the thing, I always look, and if it's one of these like custom brick colors, you can't match it, but
Okay.
any of these standard ones, it's like, Endicott has them all.
Anybody else?
Kind of torn on this a little bit, to be honest with you.
I love the idea of the sign changes and getting rid of that cabinet. I love the idea of refreshing that white.
Yeah, again,
It's needed.
It's not trying to take it and make it look modern, but it's giving, how do I say this? When you got a brand, they want to have their brand feel. When you got a building that doesn't really have any branding to it because of the nature of the architecture of it, it's not a standard prototypical building. We're not putting the pink and white trim on it they've got on their new stores. We're not putting the wood tone siding they have. Like, they're not getting much that would look anything like a Dunkin' other than this orange. So that's the reason they're pushing for the canopies. It's like, besides the sign, the only other thing that's really prototypical for Dunkin', if this was a new building, is the orange canopies. They don't use brick, they don't really use white siding except for in small little areas. So this is them saying, how can we get a little bit of branding? How can we get our, again, you know that we're here without having to see a sign. You can see a little color and you know it's us.
we might argue the branding is in the sign, and you already have the sign.
Yeah, and that's where I always hear these little color accents. Hey, you know, orange, the color of your straw, Dunkin' orange. Everyone knows Dunkin' as the orange. You know, Applebee's is red. Like, there's just those certain colors that just stick out too. That's kind of that brand's color. Taco Bell's purple.
I'm kind of torn on like, I don't know, I do like, I was actually gonna recommend those types of lights Jason showed. But sometimes
Oh,
those
I
almost look a
closed
little,
it.
those sometimes look almost a little bit
Like a little
awkward too.
They're box shaped at the end. The brand came out with them about 3 years ago, and the newer stores they're not using them anymore because they don't like the look of them once they're installed. They're not
They're almost out of proportion to what
what they're lighting up.
what they're lighting
Yeah,
up.
they
They
stick-
just create almost like a little spot, which doesn't really, in my
And
opinion.
it's,
I never
it's
even
a
looked
big
at that.
fixture.
What's that?
I never even looked at that.
Yeah, they're very weird the way that fixture is.
They're the next, thing, if we're kind of on the fence about the goosenecks, and I would say that would be the next thing to go with, but I don't feel like it's gonna, I mean, at that point, I don't feel like it's gonna do anything. I think it's just gonna, the one thing I don't like on these right here is that they have started to fade where those lights are.
Yep.
Now, we are gonna ask for the metal, so that would eliminate that issue, but at the end of the day, I don't know, you're gonna create this like little light spot on the awning, and I think it's gonna just look odd at that point.
Yeah, it's always been the thing of they want them internally illuminated so the fabric glows. When you can't, you throw a gooseneck on top, and it's supposed to make the whole thing glow, but it just kind of creates hot spots usually right wherever you do it.
So are these the types of canopy, I know this one's at the entrance.
That's exactly it. So Unistructure is the canopy company. It's the same ones that all the rest of them
Is
use.
this what's going on?
That's the band we are proposing to go over the windows. So if it's allowed, it's got LED lighting built into the top and bottom of it, so it just washes up and down the wall a little bit. I have a couple jurisdictions that say you can't have it up, they just don't put it in the up part. The other ones that say you can't have it in either, they just don't put it in either. But the orange band is still this. It's an aluminum. It's 8.5 or 9.5 inches tall. It sticks off 4 1/4. It's
Okay.
just a pop.
Is that a
color.
white light or an orange light?
It's a white light.
Okay.
So when this is lit up at night.
Yeah, no, you're good. I
Yeah.
know what you're getting at. I just wanted to ask. Like,
Yeah.
Because we have not
Color is
allowed.
an absolute no-no. We
That
know
is correct.
Oh, no, it's
Not sure
pure
about
white. No, we're not gonna do any type of LED color lighting. That's not what they do, so.
Yeah, 'cause we've turned that down with others in the past.
We have, correct.
That's kind of a new store look, if it was kind of a new store. So the LED, that orange band has that up and down little wash to it. So I don't know if you guys are. It's supposed to give a little wash to the building. It's not a bright LED, but it's just enough that.
But the lighting's a moot point if we're
Yeah, it's a matter of.
sticking with the canopy.
If we need to if we need to stick with
Yeah, I
the
was just
sloped
asking like
canopies.
how those stuck out.
Is anything changing inside the building?
Inside, just getting remodeled in the customer area. So we're gonna apply for a separate building permit for that, but we knew that with the exterior, we had to do this.
I'm just wondering if
Do
there
that
was
before you start.
a
What's that?
lightings. I was just wondering if there was a lighting scheme, like to bring the glow back, if we left the canopies, took off the gooseneck, if it had a presence at nighttime, just from what's going on inside, there was some sort of.
It's gonna be standard lighting inside. We're not gonna have any decorative lights that hang in the windows or anything like that. So when you're actually looking in the windows, it's just gonna look like a normal interior of a restaurant. There's a little orange bar that hangs over the service area, but I don't know if you'd see that all the way from the parking lot because it's so far into the store. Yeah, that was the whole reason for it's kind of like if we take the canopies off, the up and down orange band is kind of taking that place of the canopy lighting where it's not lighting the parking lot, but it's throwing a little bit of light on the building. So they're just trying to trade light for light, but not make anything brighter than it is today.
So do we think if you maintain the shaped awnings, is that what we're calling those, but replace it with metal, but that orange color would be okay? Remove the gooseneck lights?
Yeah, I don't have a problem with the orange. I mean, the orange has been there. If they were,
Yeah.
all of a sudden, if
Nothing's changed in the
everybody
code.
else has been doing it around here with the awning colors. I don't have an issue with that. If they want the whole building to be orange, it'd be a different discussion, but the awnings are they're already orange right now, and actually they're gonna look a lot better being new orange. Yeah, I don't have a problem with,
I'm okay without the lights.
I kind of am too. Honestly, I feel like those, I don't feel like the goosenecks right there look like they're way too close to the awnings. They don't sit right on there. And those other ones, I feel like are just gonna give a weird spot to it, so I'd almost say just get rid of them completely.
Yeah, the whole reason they are on the gable end side is because if you look under the other side of the building, you got the roof overhang.
Yeah.
So they match the height of the goosenecks on all sides of the building to get them to fit, but it's, you push it up on the gable end side onto the siding, it would feel weird. But yeah, they are close.
Do you want to make a motion to?
The only thing I'm trying to, I'll be perfectly honest with you, I don't like the awning over this, the existing one. I feel like, I just don't like how it wraps. I think it looks kind of weird.
Which one are you talking
I
about?
don't,
Over the door?
over the
I
door.
was wondering the
It's
same
I'd
thing.
almost,
a
I'd
different
almost,
angle from
I would
the other
almost
ones,
be
too.
okay with and everybody else can weigh in too, I'd almost be okay with doing something like that. It does give it a little
What was
bit,
proposed over
I
the door?
was thinking the same thing. I just didn't know if we could go that route.
And those cable braces give that same angle as the other.
It's the
awning.
illusion, it's still to give it the tiebacks. I mean, you got the tieback to
do.
give it that feel of an angle, but without it and without the additional material, so.
I'd be okay with if we went with just doing that awning, or doing that canopy cover over the front door, and then doing the pitched awnings metal,
Just reskin to match the front canopy.
yeah.
In metal.
In
Yeah,
metal.
I want to make sure.
Yeah,
No, you're good, no, absolutely, I've already noted, metal awnings.
I think we're all kind of thinking the same thing, because that's what Kane's, like you mentioned.
I
Kane's
just
got
feel
that
like
over the
it's
door.
not, it's not 100% Western Reserve, but I do think it like adds a nice little touch to it, gives you guys a little bit of your branding. I will say I would not want to see lighting in that though, like in that canopy.
Just in the bottom, right, you went down light on that canopy. Because it comes with two.
Oh, yes,
Yeah,
that, okay, I'm sorry, I thought you were
yeah.
talking about the other halo, no, yeah,
No,
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, we
Will
could
you
do
get
down
rid of
lighting.
those two
You need
lights
to
on
light
each
the
side
door.
of the door then, or will those remain?
They wouldn't be needed, but if the council wants us to keep them, we can keep them. They're not really there lighting up the
I'm
ground.
asking just because it almost seems like that would be a lot of light at the door,
I would
those
get-
two cans and then those two.
I would rather get rid of the wall sconces if we do the canopy with the two downlights, because those two downlights are gonna light that front sidewalk fine. And that'll give you a nice bright entrance.
I don't mind that. I just want to make sure that, you know, like you were talking about cleaning up the brick and all that. That's my opinion. I don't know if everybody else agrees.
No, I think as long as they do,
Scars.
I asked, that was kind of my concern with the other one too, as long as they're repairing that brick in a manner that, you know, it's not, especially at the front door, it's not gonna stick out, then I'm okay with it.
No, I've seen them pull these off, and if they got a junction box, they just get a couple brick and patch them in. And that's pretty common for at least the GCs that work on the Duncans with us, so I would not expect to see anything out there.
Does anybody else have any thoughts? I don't wanna be the only one speaking on this.
No, I
Really
think,
kinda- That's where I was kind of torn, like, I felt like it was a little bit of both. Okay. All right, I'll go ahead then and make a motion that we, approve the Duncan signage as submitted and the existing awnings that are on the sides be reskinned. They can be orange, but they need to be metal. The gooseneck light fixtures can be removed. And at the main entry, the awning that was proposed, or the canopy or whichever phrase you want to use, be approved as submitted with the can lights shining down for the door. And so long as the brick can be patched appropriately and not stick out, that the two sconces on each side of the door can be removed as well. And there was one other thing.
Those are the items I had scribbled on here. Front door is proposed, maintain the awnings, remove the front door sconces, remove the gooseneck, signage is okay. I think you said all those.
Yeah, I think we got them all done.
Is the piece over the drive-through staying the same?
Over the drive-through window?
Mhm.
Yeah, that's EFS, we're just gonna repaint that orange, so it's gonna be the
Okay.
same color.
I
That's
just
getting
wanted to
touch-up
confirm. I
paint.
just,
Oh, the other thing was, just submit calculations to the building department for the new awning, or for the new front entry canopy.
All right, is there a second?
second.
All right, any more discussion on the motion?
The drive-through signs are directional. They don't have logos on.
Correct.
Got it. Okay. You're learning something.
How about that? I kind of, I don't know.
All
why
right,
I'm
no more
doubting this now.
discussion. Is there, unless I'm gonna say, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Get it all?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Do we have to resubmit, or we just submit with everything approved as noted at this point?
You probably should submit a plan with those markups somehow indicated on there.
No problem, thank you.
Thank you.
It has to be the most complicated sign meeting.
Mine is going to be very boring.
You guys have been very patient.
Depends on my pants are yellow.
Do you have signs?
Is this the last? This is the last one, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm Joe Gatoski, Susan Lapine, she's the Ellen Baum.
Okay.
So we were here back in January for a split of about 6.5 acres for Crooked Horn. And this is the parcel next to it. So the Crooked Horn was approved. We had a Mylar sign. We combined the multiple parcels of Baum into one parcel. So they had proper frontage on Kepler Parkway. And so this is another individual that has a lot on East Highland that's looking to get some additional land. And this is kind of unique on this parcel because along the east line, there's a drainage ditch that's picking up the drainage off East Highland. And then coming from the east, from Empire, there's another large drainage ditch that picks up drainage. And when it gets to his parcel, it kind of angles off to the northwest towards Tinker's Creek. If I got my bearings right, that might be southeast. I don't know, I always get messed up out there. Anyway, that's why the parcel is kind of configured the way it is, because it's trying to stay out of the ditch and out of the riparian area of the ditch that cuts through there to Tinker's Creek.
All right, I think I know we've got some comments. Let's go first, Mr. Fernandez, or?
Sure, yeah. So I think there was some confusion, clearly.
Yes, there was.
And so we talked through that confusion here real quick.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I still don't understand the purpose of the split. I mean, to Hardesty, I'm not sure what they're gonna do back there, but that's a different issue.
Yeah.
Just for the city, I think is concerned because what's happening on the rear of these lots is people are just putting junk back there. And then this gentleman and his very limited staff has to go deal with that. This gentleman, not the vacancy.
Yeah, no, I understand. You know, yes.
So that's a concern, but that's a little bit outside of the purview here. But so with that said, I'll tell you why there's confusion. So when we looked at this back in January and we talked about the combination, because I had, and this reappears on my memo again, I just clipped it right out of the last one, and the issue was Dalm, which apparently is you, or a portion.
I'm here representing several of the owners. My husband and I, but my husband passed away 2 years ago. And he and some partners purchased this land many years ago. Altogether, we have about 145 acres. And most of it, as I'm sure you're aware, is wetlands. There's no way that anything could be built on it. And we've had it studied and we've tried to figure out what use we can make of it. And I think that we have arrived at the best of all solutions. I hope for you folks as well as for us. Most of the land, 115 acres more or less, is under contract, and it's going to take probably 1.5 years for the Western Reserve Land Conservancy to complete their due diligence, to raise the money that's necessary to make the purchase and to do all of the surveying. And dear Joe has been out there in his boots walking around trying to get the pins down to be able to meet their needs. But in any case, we're delighted that it's going to the Land Conservancy, and I think you folks are too. And I am convinced that it will be an opportunity for the citizens of Macedonia to enjoy what's walkable and what there are some incredible trees and some beautiful views. So, on the other hand, you can imagine that there is some land, some usable land around the fringe of this 145 acres that is saleable, that's usable. And a few months ago, you approved, thank you for that, a sale of land that's adjacent to someone who's on Highland Road, and he wanted more land. This is his neighbor who also would like to purchase the land under him. And as you've observed, frankly, he's using it. And he needs to buy it. And we're disappointed if they're not keeping it cleaned up. And we certainly will do everything in our power to help keep it the way you want it. But I guess it's not you or us that are really responsible for that, thank goodness, at the moment. But Myron is the name of the man who wants to add this extra land now. And he has a use for it, but he's been...
What is his use?
Well, I think he needs that land for his business. I think he is already parking things
I think he's
on
maybe
it.
using,
Quick, hey, I'll
maybe using
just
30 or
cut to
40
it.
feet of it. Hi, Joe.
I'll just cut to it. I don't think anybody has a problem with the split and consolidation. The concern is what Hardetsky is gonna use the land for. He's already using it for all sorts of outsourced storage, which may or may not be allowed. As Brian said, Nino and his crew are gonna have to deal with it. And I guess I'm just concerned, what is Hardetsky gonna do with this property?
Well, I'm not going to speak for him. I think that would be not appropriate.
Yeah,
but
It would be nice, I think it
Right.
would be nice for us to know that.
I
to be honest with
understand
you.
that. I think he's concerned that it not go to anyone else. I think he sees long-term need for it. I think he clearly is already using it, so what can I say? But
Nino, I don't know what your feelings are, but,
Well,
yeah, my fear is he's gonna continue to use it for storage and whatever else that he's not supposed to, so.
He's currently already using your
Yeah, he's
land for
already-
storage that he's looking to purchase.
part of it, yes. Yeah, he's about 30 or 40 feet over the line.
This is the
That's what it
M&M
looks like.
building, right?
Yeah,
So that's next to that.
I
M&M
was
Weldon was the
confused
one
by
you
that.
approved earlier. Matt.
It's actually, it might be 2 over. I don't think it's right next to that, but I believe it's somewhere.
There's 2 lots in between.
Yeah.
Kevin? If this man's in violation, here tonight, we can't do anything about that, right? It's none of our business, as far as I can see. We're trying to approve or see what was already approved by Summit County. I think we're there on this project. But if there's a man in violation, the new owner, our zoning board should take care of that, don't you think?
I don't know. I guess that's.
So I want to get back on the subject here. Why are we here tonight? It's not to see if this man's in violation, though, I don't think. We're here tonight to approve or bless what was already done. I think they've done it, consolidated the land, and they have a way to get to the roads and that kind of thing. I think that's what we're here for, but maybe
Well,
I'm
the
wrong.
Crooked Barn was already approved back in January.
Yeah.
I think, I don't know.
Well, that's why I started going with that conversation.
Yeah, I don't know that there was an issue with the depth ratio that I think I read in there that, I don't want to call it variance, but it was waived. If you read the minutes.
Yeah, they did, but it's really weird because typically what happens, and it's never happened this way in my, 18 years, it gets approved, like, the planning commission will talk about it, they don't physically approve a lot consolidation until they have it. They didn't have this at that time. They had like this, and I pointed out all these little pieces that Dahlm owned, and they should consolidate them. Unbeknownst to me, you already had them, it sounds like you already had it all surveyed.
Yes, yeah.
And then you just basically, in the commission, sort of a little bit, carte blanche approved it for the future. My expectation, at least in my mind, was it was coming back for review, whether...
Oh, yeah, because when I looked at the minutes, to me, the way I read it is that they approved it.
Yeah, they
Because I
never...
know, because Joe signed it, I think Kevin, you signed it too, I think the Mylar, and then I dropped off. decision, so.
Yeah, and I'm saying that's a mistake, but it may have been that way, I'm not arguing that. And so they, I mean, typically what happens is they come back then, a consolidation plat in its form that they would approve, would come back in the next meeting and get approved, as opposed to, well, we're gonna say it's okay without seeing the consolidation.
Well, but I think the drawing I submitted, though, did have the whole boundary on it, and the only thing that was asked is that we consolidate.
Yeah, I don't, 3303-389 wasn't on that one that you submitted the first time. That's all that stuff to the south.
Well,
It was just touching, I don't think it was.
well, yeah, but I don't think that's part of the consolidation either.
Well, it should be. Well, that's the point, so that
No, 'cause I was at a-
absolutely should be.
Wait, which parcel is it?
33.
3303-389, otherwise it's landlocked.
Yeah, I'm not, can you show?
I think that's why
Which
we
one is
agreed to
it?
the consolidation, so
This
that
one right here.
it wouldn't be landlocked, which
Well,
was a
but
good
we
idea.
did combine that. It did get combined. I think on your newer map, it shows that it's all combined.
So that's
Yes,
why.
yeah, on this, yeah, because if you go to your second drawing, this one, the current, we combined all, yes, we combined all the property together.
Right.
Like if you go to this one here.
And Summit County approved it,
Yeah,
right?
that's the new parcel
Yeah.
number.
far as I
The
know,
new
it's
parcel
already
number
done.
is
I'm not sure why
331,
we're here.
3487,
Right.
which consolidated the balance, because there's two owners, there's Dom 2 and there's Dom 1. So
Yeah.
we consolidated all the Dom land, and then there was a sublot in Capitol Boulevard that we combined, which gave them the frontage they needed, so.
No doubt, so all I'm saying, I didn't know that,
Okay.
and I didn't see that after that meeting. And typically that would come back to the commission as a single consolidation plat as a separate agenda item. So it was a little different than normal, and that's okay. And it did get approved, it sounds like our city engineer did approve it. So it was unbeknownst to me, so that's why I reviewed it, and my comments
Understood, yes.
are the
Yeah,
way
yeah.
they are. And so I have looked at your current one, and I agree with city engineer, there's no concern with the parcel. It's a little wonky, but I see why you're creating it. And, you know, the other issue that my colleagues here on the other side of me are bringing up, I've also raised that in my reports. Now, how the commission wants to deal with that, I mean, it's kind of an enforcement issue, but the mechanism that the building commissioner is saying is, well, we don't want to approve any lot split until it's cleaned up, and that's up to this commission.
But the lot split's already been approved, right?
No,
Not this
not
new
this
Not
one.
this one. This one
Second
we're
one.
selling 2 acres, to which I think, create like a
3.6.
3.6 acre parcel.
So the concern that the property owner that wants to acquire more land is doing stuff he shouldn't be doing, that is, we're able to consider that as we look at this consolidate, or this lot split. Is that correct? It's not something that it's not your concern, you
It's kind of
can't
hard
look at
for
that.
us all to ignore in this room, would be my thought.
We already kind of approved the last one, and we told them they needed to get it cleaned up, and it doesn't appear that they have as of yet.
May I ask, are you leasing this property to this business right now, or
No, we're not.
you're not, so you just allow them to use it?
No, he owns the property.
Well, he owns the parcel north.
On East Highland,
And
yeah.
he's
Right.
wants to purchase, and,
Additional land.
we confessed that
But the
I
property
think he's
that he's-
already maybe over his line, and we're not receiving any income for that, but certainly we feels that he needs to use it appropriately, whatever your rules are on that. I hope you will enforce them. I think that's
But is
important.
he on your property already with his storage or whatever?
I think he is already encroaching
So
on.
legally, you probably be responsible for that, because you are storing something on your property that you shouldn't. You haven't been approved for.
Well, let's approve it then.
Well,
Oh, I'm sorry, that was my sense of humor taking. I apologize.
But I mean, unless you
I
can
have
prove
thought
it's
of it that
subject
way.
to
No, I understand what you're
following
saying.
the zoning requirements of the city.
I would say
kinda
no, because the
takes-
last one, we said, we kind of stated, we had that large discussion about that lot, and that still, in this updated aerial, is still not been changed. They're now, that whole area is still a mess.
Yeah, I guess the only question I would have is that, I mean, is there something in the code that says, I mean, we can't approve a lot split consolidation, you know,
And then extend
due
it
to
that way.
other zoning violations
Well, there are
that are
zoning
not
violations,
our parcel per se?
but they are on her parcel. She
Yeah,
admitted that they're already on her parcel.
Yeah, I'm afraid if we approve this and the condition it's in with the storage that's on there,
I agree.
then he will continue using it and he will do the same thing to the rest of the property. And he said, you guys approved it, and he's gonna continue to do it.
Well, they certainly could stipulate that it can't be, and then that argument wouldn't hold water because the commission said you can't do it, it's not allowed by the code. In such case, the city absolutely could seek a TRO, a temporary restraining order against him to cease and desist the illegal activity, and it's a court matter.
But again, if he's buying it in the condition with the storage on it already, he said he already allowed it prior to this, why can't I continue doing it?
No, I would say that we didn't allow it, we basically found
We
it
were not
when we
aware
did
of
the
it.
survey,
We were not aware of it at all. Honestly, I had never walked down into that area until we reached this point of, recognizing what the best, highest and best use really was.
So
I
the
don't- I'm
concern,
not
you
in
give him, you legally give him more land, it's gonna either continue, the same, you're gonna leave it there like it is, and it's gonna be a mess, or it's gonna become even a bigger mess because he's got how many acres additional to store.
Well, now that I know, then I would have to issue a citation to remove all that storage from that lot. Then you can sell it, and then if he does it, then we would cite him.
So that
But I don't think we,
Wouldn't it be more efficient to sell it to him and just go straight for him?
no, because they could say you allow the sale in this condition with all the storage on it.
Can we-
You allow it to transfer the title. So,
can we put conditions on the approval, that it's removed and inspected and approved?
she would
before?
have to agree to remove it before, yes, yeah.
Well, I think what you're going is, who signs the lot consolidation? And so you would, in order to get it recorded at the county, you gotta have their signature. So if you don't sign it, then they can't record it, and they can't transfer it. So what that says is they can walk out of here tonight, and this young lady can go back and tell them, get your junk off my property and comply with the code. And once it's off her property, and it's confirmed with an inspection, then they can sign off on it. But that's not gonna change the fact that the junk is still out there on another property, but that's a different issue.
But that would motivate him, if he really wants this, he would have to comply. And then that makes it easier for our already overworked, understaffed department to enforce. Unless he's just not really doesn't want the land.
It's helpful, yes.
No. Well, how do we handle it? I mean, we still have another issue with the other one that we approved, or still.
But it's not an issue for this commission.
Yeah,
It's
a
just
separate
not,
issue.
it's an enforcement issue, it just needs to be dealt with.
I get back to our role here. Why are we in the enforcement division at all? I realize there's an understaffed group there, have to go out there and fight with this man, but that's their job. It's not our job. We could approve the split as they want and let them, let the rest of the city whose job it is go after them. I have trouble with the role of the planning commission getting involved in this at all. Make something contingent on them fixing up the place. What if he doesn't fix up the place? Then you can't make the lot split. So that's where I have a little trouble with our role here.
Is it a land use issue though?
I don't hear very well.
I'm sorry.
Didn't hear
Is it a
either.
land use issue then? I mean, if they're using it in a way that's not really.
It is.
Yes.
It is a land use
Yes.
issue, but that's not what's before you tonight. What's before you is a technical issue of can this be subdivided according to your subdivision regulations? That's what's before you. I don't disagree, and I have raised it myself in here about the outdoor storage, but the issue is not a land use issue in front of you tonight. It's a, does it meet your subdivision requirements?
Yeah, I guess I was looking at the conditional things, just try to throw a bone to help them get most of the way down the path, but help the city have some more teeth to enforce this. If the guy wants the property, he's gotta comply, or he doesn't get the property. That was the only reason I was proposing a condition. It was kind of try to help both sides out, if we're permitted to do that.
And if it was, going from what Nino was saying, if we did approve it in the condition that it's in, does it then
We essentially already.
It gives our
Allowing
even
them-
more ground to stand on.
Mm-hmm. That's what I was wondering too. Because then if Nino tries to cite him, he could come back saying, well, if it was wrong, why'd you approve it?
That's the problem.
But does it come back to, this isn't a land use approval, it's a lot consolidation.
Yeah, it's a lot of consolidation, but there also there is a purchase. So, you know, if you allow the purchase and the property is filled with storage, let's say you transfer the title, in that condition, it should be continued to be used in that condition.
Well, what does it say in the code is required for a lot split consolidation?
It's in the code. I mean,
Does it
lot
speak
split
of land?
could
Yeah, I'm
be-
not sure. I don't know, because
Lot
that's too
split
much
could
work in
Could be
Macedonia.
approved, that's not the issue here. The issue is what this land is gonna be used after you transfer the title.
I know, but
We
see, I
already
don't think
know.
you could, when you look at what your code says, I don't think that's part of in your approvals, one of the things you look at for approving a lot consolidation, because it's all zoned the same zoning.
What is it zoned right now? What zoning do you have?
I don't,
And what are you using it for?
I don't know.
You're using it for storage, and it's not, you are using your land for a use that is not permitted there right now.
Correct, and normally
So
what
you-
happens is the zoning
so you-
inspector, whoever will cite them, or building inspector.
So you technically, you're in violation, so I should cite you?
I'm not in violation, but I'm just saying.
No.
You are, because it's your land.
Is he allowed, I think he's parking trucks there.
That's what it looks
And-
like on the image. I don't know
Right.
if that's current,
And
but.
wouldn't that be an acceptable use if you have a business and you have trucks? And he needs more space for parking the trucks?
Depending on
Then
how
wouldn't
many-
that be,
I think it has to be
That's
paved.
not
It has to
truck
be
parking.
paved. It's-
I
that's
think
like-
And then-
actually it
and-
isn't paved.
you know,
I think the only part that isn't paved is part on our property.
exactly.
Yeah, because I think it's
Exactly.
actually concrete back in
And
there.
I think it's, I believe it's paved behind his building.
Oh, yeah, I think
It's
so.
not
To the
paved
property
on
line.
ours, but
Is that in a zone that also allows no outdoor storage?
That's a good question too.
Because he has a bunch of new trucks there, you know, brand new trucks that they outfit them somehow, and I'm not sure what kind of outfitting they do, but.
He's acquiring property that's zoned general industrial, which allows outdoor storage.
It does, okay. That's what I was just gonna ask.
The parcel that fronts on Highland is zoned limited industrial. It's a different zoning. So the piece that they're acquiring in the back, in
would-
theory,
Would
does.
actually bring him into compliance.
Well,
Somewhat.
it would get him in the direction of
Yes,
compliance.
yeah.
Wouldn't bring him into compliance.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but
But it would
there's
give him
all
a
sorts of
way-
standards.
Right,
Yeah,
understood.
yeah.
Hmm.
I mean, just, I have a different opinion, but.
I mean, I think we're looking for, we'd like to try to help give the city any teeth, but we also don't want to overstep our bounds. We also don't want to set them up for making it worse, but again, not with overstepping our bounds. I mean, do you feel that we'd be overstepping our bounds to hold this up, to get it cleaned up, or is that beyond
I think,
Is that?
I do think it's
Push it.
beyond your scope tonight, in my opinion.
I didn't, what is-
I think it's beyond your scope, in my opinion. I sympathize with the city's position, and anytime we could try to bring compliance, I mean, I always bake it into my reports, but I think at the end of the day, it's a technical discussion tonight. It doesn't meet the subdivision requirements, not zoning code. Two separate documents. It's the subdivision portion of this, of the planning and zoning code. You could always continue the case and get a legal opinion too.
I was just gonna say, should we ask the law director?
that's what I was wondering.
May I say that?
Please.
Ma'am, do you have a timetable? Do you have a period in which you have to effectuate this transaction?
No, obviously, we'd like to do it as soon as possible, just so that we can draw the boundaries, because Western Reserve Land Conservancy is asking us, I have an email from last week saying, can you give us the boundaries? And I'm saying we have this meeting tonight, and I hope next week I can give you the boundaries. Because they then will be applying for grants, and there are deadlines for those grants. And the grants are, on a 6-month, in some cases, and 12-month timetable for bringing in the money that they need in order to purchase. And we've already given them, a year and a half, but we're into that now, and it's, yes, the clock is ticking, I think. And I don't want to overstep, but I guess my own thought is that what would be logical in my mind would be to approve the lot split, which is what we're here for. Your idea of consolidating was brilliant. I thought that really was a great way that we've already done, I believe, to get the access to roads on the outside by combining a couple of parcels. But, and then if there's enforcement that needs to be done, it can be between you and the person who's really involved. But to put me in the position of enforcing, I don't have any power.
You're right.
Well,
yeah, it's
He's
currently
on your
on your
property.
property. That's
you have
the
civil,
curious-
you have civil power.
Well,
You post a no trespassing sign and call the police. I mean, you have some civil authority to do
you'd
that.
like to help us.
Me?
He's fired.
I'm quite sure your land conservancy doesn't want trucks parked on park property.
Well, it won't be their property, that's the
Well,
point.
yeah.
We're selling it.
Unfortunately.
Has anyone
Selling
from
it,
the
yeah.
city ever approached them about that? I know you're
Move this
doing
along.
I don't
also.
think anybody ever
I'd
did.
vote to.
Because that's
do
what I'm
exactly
wondering
she
if it's
says
just
and what
something
I've
where it's
said.
just an ignorance,
And if you
the
want to
guy
put
would be
contingencies
reasonable, but
on
we
it,
don't
they
know.
have to
So
enforce it against
I would
their
hope somebody would bring his
contractee, which is
attention to
somebody
the
they
meeting and
contracted
like
with.
go watch the
Because
video
he's
and
a bad
understand
guy.
the city has a big
That's
problem with
not
this,
the
and
rule.
if he's
And
a
so I'd be voting
good
against
resident
putting any
taxpayer, he would
contingencies
fix it.
whatsoever on it. Let them do the lot split and let the, take place as it should. I think she's absolutely right on that, and so I'd vote against putting a contingency on it. But I will vote for doing exactly what they want to do here.
Okay.
Just to move it along.
Yeah. Yeah, I do, I don't necessarily want to overstep our bounds. I don't want to, it kind of sounds like Brian's saying we might be, probably in his opinion, he's been involved with a lot of stuff like this, and, push when we can, but without, holding someone back. I don't know that, getting an opinion from the law department is going to necessarily change. And he's probably going to have a very similar opinion to Brian. As much as I'd like to see that get cleaned up and help give some teeth to go after this,
Well, one thing is, this is all on the record, and it's video recorded.
It is on the video, yeah.
Maybe the city could direct him to the recording, and we'll see what a good or not good citizen of Macedonia, or business owner of Macedonia is. I don't know. I would hope if you own a business and maybe you weren't aware this was a problem, you've realized the city has a strong feeling about it, they would try to figure out a way to fix it quickly. But I am concerned that we would be stepping over our bounds.
So technical issues, Joe, is there anything from?
No, otherwise, I don't have any concern.
Okay. Tony, do you want to make a motion?
No, you make it, because
Well,
I'll screw it up. You're good, you're good.
All I gotta say is approve, you know, it's,
Well, okay, I'd make a motion that we approve the lot split as submitted, period.
is there a second?
Oh, second.
Is there? I'll second it. Any more discussion on this? Got any strong, anything else you want to say? All right, let's take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, so here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you
But
very
anything
much,
you can
everyone.
do
We'll work
to,
with you. Yes, indeed. If there-
And you know, I'm
Is
sorry.
there a re-
No, take it.
It's on the
Yes, it's not,
website.
there's the recording.
Clearly, we're
available.
struggling, we struggle with the decision. I would love to help you out, but I feel.
Thank you
Yeah.
very much.
All right,
I
thank
will
you.
work with the building
Thank you, Brian.
official too.
I just want you to know, I'm sorry to say this, but you will be cited to remove that, all that storage from your property.
Okay.
I think that's probably the best way for us to handle that. When the property is cleaned up, then you can transfer it to, you know, to the owner.
Are you referring, well, I'll talk to you about it.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And will you help me?
Oh, absolutely.
Good,
Yeah.
thanks. Good. All right, thank you, everyone.
Thanks. I know. All right, the next item is Momentum Church, but they have asked to.
I gotta get going. I'm all right.
They were through. Okay. Next is Momentum Church, but they have requested to be continued to the next meeting so that they can address comments that were in Mr. Francis' memo. I think they're going to try and do what he suggested. So I'll make a motion to continue this, the Momentum Church issue to the next meeting at the applicant's request.
I'll second that.
Before we take a vote, Mr. Francis, does that sound right?
I'm sorry, I didn't.
I made a motion to continue the Momentum Church to the next meeting at the applicant's request.
Yeah, that's correct, yeah.
Okay. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right. Finally, guys, hey, can we have like 2 or 3 minutes? If you don't mind, we're gonna take a quick,
I really
break.
appreciate that.
Actually, let the record reflect we have a potty break. Resume the meeting here. So,
Guys,
and I know you guys have been here before, just for the record, if you could state your names.
Yeah, Vaibhav Patel with Oakwood Hospitality.
And Yash Chandat with Oakwood Hospitality.
All right. Want to give us an overview of where things have gone since the last time you were here?
Yes, there were a few things we were required to do in our last meeting. And, we're here for a final plan approval. I know we're missing few things like landscape or signage. We're thinking that's going to be a next one. Just wanted to get the site and the building approved. There are a few outstanding issues like the view shed, photometrics, title search, the survey height of the building, auto turn template for the fire truck, wetland report, utility plan, and fencing. In our last December meeting, so we have addressed all those. And then last week we got some more comments of the new drawings, and we have the response for that.
So I guess if nothing else too, we also know now that Holiday Inn Express is the proposed.
Yes.
Okay. All right, then maybe the best thing to do is just jump right into comments, Friends.
Sure. My report is dated June 9th. And I know I've talked to the applicant since the last, going into the preliminary plan and since to assist with getting prepared for this meeting. I will say I was a bit surprised that the plans I got weren't to scale, and they didn't include all those things that are required for final plan approval. But what you're saying is your desire tonight is principally to document that you address those items coming out of preliminary plan approval, and you want to get confirmation on the building itself, the architecture, building height issue. And then all the rest of the stuff you will bring back to the table for a final plan approval.
Yes.
So you do plan to come back one more time?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Yes.
so I didn't know that coming into.
Yep.
But that's okay. So a lot of my comments then are just need to be addressed, and it sounds like they will be addressed. I would say the biggest thing is I still remain of the position that you should do something where you combine this outbuilding. I don't know what the outbuilding looks like, but combine it with the trash enclosure. I've given you kind of, a few of my reports show that where there's some unique ways to do it. I don't think they're terribly expensive because you're building both structures as it is. I'm assuming the outbuilding is for things like yard maintenance equipment.
Yes, and it is combined, and my apologies, between so many different submissions, that was part of the plan, and I, it just completely skipped out on that.
That's okay, so you're saying you are gonna combine it?
Yes.
Okay.
In fact, I have, we have this, just to show you guys, what it is, would you mind passing it along? I think we have more than enough, but. So right here, this is our trash enclosure, and right next to that is the storage. Of course.
That's all right, I can see it over here, I'll just stand over this way.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a single.
It's a single, so one side of that, of course, the trash enclosure does not have a roof on it, and this is the storage, which has a, it's an enclosed roof and stuff like that. This section will match the first floor of the actual building, brick, shoulder cores, whatever you call it. The doors will be factory finished, again, to match either bronze or whatever we're doing on our building, windows or storefront or whatever it is. So, the only thing that it doesn't match is it's not gonna have a roof on it. That's the only thing. But then when you look at the site plan, the building is this building on the back side. So, that's the only thing that might not match. Otherwise, everything else will match.
So this is still a standalone, separate thing off in the corner?
Yes.
But these two were together, and at one point they were separate buildings, okay.
They were always together, but they were separate from the building. So it was not like a main building and building 1 or 2.
Okay.
They were always
They were
together.
together.
But I don't think we ever shared those details in the past. It should have been part of the submission.
Got it.
But unfortunately,
So this area here is,
storage.
but no roof over it?
No, there's a.
That's a flat roof. The store, the trash enclosure does not have a roof on it.
The white and black plan on the left.
You're closer, that's good.
Okay.
You're getting closer. I would have some kind of a roof over, a peaked roof over the whole point is it looks like the building.
Okay.
I know there's a little cost to do that, but it's it's negligible.
It's not the cost factor, more importantly, it was because the one section, the trash enclosure will not have a roof on it,
Yeah.
so it just might have looked a little weird from our point of view, like, there's a roof and there right next to it, there is no roof. So that was the thought process, it was nothing to do with cost.
Yeah.
I mean, if that's what you guys like to see, I mean, we've done mostly everything the way the designer has intended to, so it's not a big deal.
And Mr. Wallenhurst is a trained architect, so I rely on his thoughts on that, but it'd be nice to have some kind of.
Yeah.
Like if you just had a roof over there, you're not gonna put a roof over a trash.
They actually do out west.
Do they?
Weird as that sounds, they'll do, it's more of like, and I'm not saying, I don't know if yeah, they do out west a lot. It's something to do with, but I'm not.
Keep your raccoon free?
We've never seen that.
No, it's not even
I'm
like
kidding.
that. It's open air. It's just, they put it, I don't know. I used to have to do it all the time. But anyways, I'd say let's just study that. I'd like to see what it looks like with a pitched roof over it, with only part of it. But again, at that time, I'm not sure it's gonna look right either, because you're gonna see a pitch and then you're gonna see
And you're
flat with or nothing, and then unless it was maybe. You know what, maybe you could do is you could almost do similar way. I wouldn't even do a full, I'm almost wondering if it is just like a hipped roof,
Yeah.
like almost what you
Three-sided.
did, almost like what you did right there, and it is
top.
flat in the middle, that
Yeah,
top
yeah.
one, where it just is, it's a
Grab some of the
parapet.
features from the building.
Yeah, it's just a
Put it on the
parapet piece
outbuilding.
over it, and then it's not a full roof.
Just to
Yeah, no,
you're
you're good.
talking about.
No, just over,
this
just
one,
over
right?
that one, yeah, and that's what part of my other concern is that if you do it over that, is it gonna look weird that there's
It's
nothing
gonna,
over that?
yeah, and
So-
the roofs that we have done, they're, what do you call them? They're like,
They're
it's on
pitched.
four sides. They're pitched,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
I know
Like
what you
they're
mean
not
by,
just
yeah.
single pitched.
Yeah, yeah.
So then I personally thought it would look weird. That's the reason. we
Let's see what
kept
it looks
but-
like, and again, it may, I'm kind of, with just seeing this for the first time, I'm kind of trying to draw it in my head and think of how it might look or work, and it might just not.
Yeah, but would that hold up the approval though?
No,
Oh,
no, that's something that I think that's just a,
So there's a new brewery being built in Richfield that the garbage dumpster is baked inside to the building. There's like a decorative door on the outside. So it can be done.
they just roll it out, then at the end of the day is what it's.
Yeah, I mean, we've never done it, doesn't mean it doesn't happen.
Yeah. Mhm.
Like, what we've done is, waste management or somebody we hired, for the trash, and they usually come in and
Right,
roll, pick the dumpster up.
yeah.
Because, I don't know if they bring it out every time, if it's gonna impact the floor or whatever it is. I've never done it, so I don't know if it's doable or not doable, but,
I was looking to see if there's anywhere you can do attached. to
and
it.
then if you do a full roof, I don't know if you do a full roof, this trash area, it gets a little smelly. I don't know how much of the smell or
I would-
venting or stuff would happen on that. So, I'm little resistant about putting a roof.
With it being attached to the building, I agree with, because it's a little bit easier to maintain, like, the smell and that type of stuff. With it being stuck out there, that could get a little, if we were to put a roof over it. I was looking to see on the site plan if there's a way to connect it to the building where it just becomes an appendage off of it, but I don't know.
What do we require in the other hotels around town, La Quinta and the one down on Route 8? How's that all set up?
Oh, we haven't done one of those in years, Tony.
wonder-
I have no idea.
I've never actually reviewed this, so those are at least probably 20.
Again, I don't think this isn't like this isn't anything that
Yeah.
like
The whole
we can't
Yeah,
get
it's not a big
past.
deal.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Putting
putting
a roof on the storage unit, not a big deal.
Yeah.
It's easily doable,
I'm more concerned about can a truck get in there to empty it where you have it, because there's that island there.
That's,
So it seems like it's something that can be studied.
Yeah,
a
I think
little
it's just,
more,
I
and
would just say study it, guys. I mean,
Okay.
again,
You have to
we'll-
come back again.
Yeah, if you're coming, yeah. And that's something Pam will look at, and she'll
Yeah,
give
Pam
her
should
2
look at
cents
that.
on it, and
See what the
we'll
other
go from
hotels
there.
do.
Oh, I gave my top copy to somebody.
You can keep.
Hey,
What'd you
hey.
need?
That's okay. I got a little bit too excited.
Um,
Right here, it was me.
You know, I know it's still gotta get in front of your eyes and all, so we can get reviews back from it, from Pam and Brian as well. But with it being away from the building, the maintenance points you made, the flat roof, still not looking for that, just wanna see maybe a hip or a gable on there.
Yeah, I think it might need a little something just to
Add the
help it tie
materials.
back to the building, because it is separated. If it were part of the building, I think it could be something that can be incorporated into it a little bit, but
I just
with it
fear
being
that-
separated,
Yeah, putting it on the building typically, I just don't know how the symmetry and all that will jive.
I was
for
looking to
the
see if there was
comments.
a good point to do it, but I agree, I don't feel like there is. Especially in an area that you would want it, where it's not gonna be,
And the garbage truck
yeah,
accessibility.
exactly, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so maybe maybe the answer at the end of the day is you just do a typical garbage dumpster enclosure and you build some storage into your building.
I was gonna ask, like,
This is for, besides lawn maintenance, it's also for chemical or paints, like hazardous
Flammable.
stuff that has to be outside of the building.
Like
That's
gas-
one of the brand
gasoline and things like
requirement,
that?
one of the brand requirement, so that's,
Really
that
just
we have to
paint
keep it,
on the maintenance
outside.
That'd be another inspection.
They could store that stuff indoors. What about gasoline for lawn equipment, that kind of stuff?
He's saying it's a company policy.
It's a, yeah, the brand,
So
all
it's
the brands,
company policy.
yeah, hazardous
Is there-
stuff.
I mean, there's,
A code, or like a fire?
um,
Does fire have an issue with that?
no, being separate from their cleaning chemicals, they're being separate from the building, as long as they're stored properly and with underweight limits.
Okay.
The question was asked, does the fire department have an issue with storage being a part of the building?
Yeah.
Well, if there's things like gasoline,
Yeah,
paint,
with the-
chemicals like that
you know,
kind of
the
stuff.
storage, yeah, okay.
But anyways, I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
So that was my first comment.
Well, it is one of those
It's
nights.
still nice and bright out, so we're fine.
Yeah.
You just spoke.
How many more do you have, 22?
Yeah, I mean, the first comment really was kind of not addressed, right? But it was previously we looked at the view shed issue, it just didn't make it into this. So your final set of plans for final plan approval needs to include all your landscaping and the whole view shed thing we already looked at.
So we have, we have something to talk about the view shed. Back in December's meeting, we had brought that up, that the neighboring parcel had a very mature natural trees. And there was no point of, if we could use that. I don't recall, but somebody had made a comment, if we can get an agreement with them that they would not cut those trees or something like that, then it potentially could be a possibility. But we didn't want to get into that because that means we reaching out to them, blah, blah, blah. At that point, we did not do our survey, right, because we were still in the preliminary stage. Well, we did our survey and finding out that a lot of those trees are actually on our property, including some little portion of their landscape is on our property. So now, I'm trying to make a case that that view shed that we're gonna build is gonna be by cutting down a very nice mature tree line and then putting something in there to do what's already doing right now. And
Yeah, and so if you have new information since your preliminary plan approval where we talked about this, that new information being a survey that documents a lot of trees on your property that you don't want to cut, well, that can be part of your view shed. You just need to submit that.
that, yeah, and that
And
was
maybe it's supplemented, I don't know the answer, but we don't know until we see it.
that was submitted with this package. And we also made our own response to the December's meeting, breaking it down, and we mentioned it in there, that, it was there, so. And this is how it is. This is our property line right here, and if you can see, all these mature trees are within our property line. Now, what we proposed with a view shed was to provide right here, this was the section that we were gonna put a view shed, and, and we were gonna stay out of the easement to make sure that none of the sanitary or stuff like that gets disturbed. So I mean, if you look at it, we already have that thick view shed or whatever you call it in there.
Are we looking at this page? Is that what you're saying?
Aerial photo with 200
Correct.
feet, yep.
Oh,
Aerial
wow.
photo.
Yeah, so, you said it was included with it.
Yeah.
I don't interpret this to be what I'm
You're right.
thinking from a view shed standpoint.
I
mean, this is it says it's to a 30 scale, but what it doesn't tell me is what the grading impacts are relative, on this sheet, relative to this tree line that's part and parcel with your property. So that's good news, you have a bunch of trees on your property. So when you come back for final plan approval, you just need to document those trees on a grading plan within your boundary and show how that will, again, that view shed, that 7.5 footer where we talked about, will be impacted now that you own these trees. And then you'll deed restrict those, I'm assuming. You'll do something to guarantee they're not gonna be removed.
Yeah, I mean, if we have to, this is our property and this is contingent of view shed. So if deed restriction is the way to go, we'll do that, it's not a big deal.
But when you walk out of here and you go build a building and 7 years down the line, somebody gets itchy trigger finger with the chainsaw and they start backing down these trees that were part of an approved view shed, that can't happen.
No,
So
we'll
we
get a
need to
deed
have some
restriction.
guarantee.
Yeah, that's not a problem. Now, this plan, this submission included our full engineering set with the grading plan and everything. So are we looking at something, are you expecting something else on this? Like, just want to make sure when I go back to my engineer that, what are we, and one apologies on the scaling of that. That's my fault. Engineer designed everything at 2436 and my submission was 11, so I didn't even think about it and I just printed it 1117 and gave it to you guys. So
Yeah,
that's my apology on that.
So when you come to the final plan approval, just have it on the right
Yeah,
sheet.
yes.
Yeah.
But you like the big giant ones, don't you? You personally, don't you?
I'm
or-
fine, they're not gonna wanna go back through and do 11 by 17s now, they'd have to change everything, so. Whatever they wanna do, I don't care, 11 by 17, 24 by 36, just so it's to scale.
If you don't care about this is the set that we submitted, I can leave this here for you.
You could submit when you submit for final plan approval.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't wanna carry that with me.
So 11 by 17, okay.
Yeah. So, but again, when I look at this, I mean, we have a landscape architect who's on board. If you look at this, would you know what is being preserved and how the view shed with this document is being preserved down for this residential to the south?
No, and I'm looking at the grading plan and there's a clouded area that indicates some existing vegetation, which I understand you're trying to stay out of it, but I think a little bit more detail to indicate, and then maybe, sometimes we'll do a tree protection note of some sort to talk about how you are gonna protect those trees, since that grading is kind of coming up pretty close to them.
Okay.
Said much better than me.
So, you good? Okay. So just, again, not an engineer, so I'm trying to make sure I relay this right. If we can make a note of the protected area on the grading plan, that, this right here is a view shed, it's gonna be protected, we'll do a date restriction, whatever we want, and then it's already there naturally. So is that gonna be good enough for you guys to look at it the way we are trying to present it, or like, what would be the?
Mr. Fraser, are you looking for
A landscape architect plan that identifies what's gonna be saved and how it's gonna be impacted, where the grading comes. If you rely on an engineer,
No.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that's like relying on an architect to design a stormwater pond.
Yep.
It's just not, you're not gonna do that.
Okay.
And you're not necessarily looking for a plan of the view, are you?
Well, I
Because
just
we've
wanna see
seen-
what that view is. I don't know what these trees are. I have no idea. I mean, are they 6-inch caliper trees? Are they?
I mean, we sort of, when we saw the last view shed, we agreed to a 7.5 feet view shed. I mean, again, they've not gone in there or measured it, but these trees are 20, 25, like they are. If you just drive by there and look at it, these are pretty heavy, mature, great looking trees. Not because they're on our property, but even regardless of. Actually, if you drive to that community, these are the tallest trees, even in that section. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, maybe a landscape architect might be able to illustrate that, height measure or whatever it is, but.
They will.
Okay.
And you're probably gonna have an LA designing landscaping around the building, right? If you're
Yes,
gonna have
yes,
them
yes, that could be.
So you have them incorporated in there, but you may need your surveyor to get out there and kind of, set like you say, any tree 6-inch caliper or larger should be identified on the plan, and then write up, like a small spec about how those trees are gonna be protected through construction.
Okay.
That's absolutely what I think would be good for final.
Yeah, that's.
And one of the reasons we did not usually traditionally landscape submission, not most of the city require it. And even when they require it, that comes in the later part of it, so we understand once the construction and stuff is done. The view shed was something that we had to address before we get the blessing of moving along. So that's where, we didn't have a landscape architect who would address this section, and we thought we could address it in a different way. But we'll get on board on that and go.
Yeah, because you want final plan approval, you need to comply with 113705C 1 through 13.
Okay.
And number 11, proposed grading, landscaping, and screening plans needs to be on your final plan approval.
Okay.
I mean, I think you can get there, it's just.
Sure.
It's a matter of doing it.
Yep.
And then, the photometrics, took a good step in the right direction. And you state that and I appreciate that the pole height's been reduced down to a human scale, which is good. We just don't know what they look like, cut sheets, so if you can provide that on final plan approval.
Okay. We've got what we're gonna provide. If you wanna have a real quick look at it, I mean, this will be part of submission, of course, but and this is what most of the new developments have, a nice sleek,
I'm not the lighting guy, but.
Well, that's good. That's slightly better than a shoebox, so.
Well, it's a lot, we have.
Yeah.
LEDs versus
Lot better than a
halogens.
shoebox.
Hieroglyphics.
Okay.
Can't be cheap.
And there's a pole associated with this.
Yes, it's a matching pole.
If you could provide that
Okay.
with your cut sheet of that. I'm assuming it's some kind of a square.
Yes. Yeah, they have options, but I think we've been going with squares just based off that mounting plate,
Yeah.
so.
And you are doing bronze.
Bronze, yeah.
That's better than the other finishes out there, right? For our,
Bronze is attractive.
it is.
Right.
That's what I'm saying, there's a pole associated with it, it just doesn't show it.
They need to give us the kind of light at the property line, it's got to be 0 in there.
They did, it's in the submittal, yeah. Yeah, so the photometrics is compliant at the property line, it's all 0 at the property line. Okay. And then, your signs will be a submittal at a later date.
It's a different submittal.
Yep.
We learned a lot about it today, so.
Don't put the signs up.
Your favorite color is okay.
Yeah,
White.
just don't put the signs up.
And get permit before the installation, so we figured that out today.
We talked about the scale and the landscaping, so really the last issue
Keep the building up first.
is,
Let's see it.
With a permit though.
Start renting.
looks like you removed all the EFS.
Yeah, all the AFIS is gone. There's
all brick,
there's just a
maintenance
little
reside.
bit of AFIS on all the gables.
Yeah.
you know, there was
pretty
not.
much gone.
But yeah, it's gone, yeah.
And it's
98.
all maintenance residing and brick.
Yes.
Which is an improvement.
And it's a full brick.
It's full brick.
Yep.
Yep.
It's not a veneer, it's a full
Not-
brick.
Yeah.
Yep.
Veneer being a common term, but it's a full masonry brick.
Yes.
And then you need all the colors associated, because you have standing seam roof, right? On some parts of this?
No,
No,
the
it
roofs
got
are all
all
showing the
asphalt.
root. We would love to have a standing seam, but I think, you know, the team wanted a shingle, so we have
Asphalt.
shingles. Yeah.
Okay. And so really the last issue in my mind is, are we compliant with the height or not?
That was the biggest issue. My mind was,
I don't know the answer.
we were at 4510 in our December meeting. We spoke about bringing it down under 45.
You did.
We did that. We brought it to 4410. So I think we are compliant, but I don't know who to get that. Like, who's gonna say we are compliant?
I mean, you are correct, out of the preliminary plan meeting, you agreed to study it to bring the height down because you were over the 45.
So you, yeah, you're then 44 tons under 45, so I'd say you guys
Seems
comply.
that way.
And then
I'd
the
usually go
tower,
for
and then there.
We had
Parapet
the
walls.
parapet wall
reduced.
was taller, so we shortened the parapet wall.
That won't expose the HVAC though?
The HVACs are
That's
behind.
it's up there already.
Anyways, 12-inch wouldn't hide HVAC
Yeah.
anyway. So we are gonna do screens behind the HVAC unit to,
that's
decorative screens.
That was one of the, Pam, the architect comment, had a question about that.
Yep.
What's the additional height that's allowed? That's the one part I don't, I think they're okay, but what's the additional height they're allowed on those towers? It can't be any more than how many feet?
Let me go look at it.
10 feet.
I think
thought
it's
it
10.
was.
10
I thought it
feet.
was too, I just want to make sure, because, yeah, you guys are in compliance,
10 feet above the roof piece.
so you're fine. I
Well,
thought-
actually, any projections in excess of 10 feet, you can approve.
Oh, okay, well, they're, you guys are
That
fine
looks
anyways.
proportionate.
That's what it seems.
I'm not American.
Which one?
So how would you read, so here's my question, because this is going to be something that when we, I guess, are we getting into the architecture now?
So my last question, at
Oh,
least on the architecture, is inside. Do you have a conference room, conference facility inside the hotel?
We have 2 boardrooms, inside the facilities. Yes.
Okay. And
Not
have
a
there been any
conference room.
agreements with the city about like a conference, a certain number of seats in a conference facility?
I haven't been able to talk to the city.
Yeah, we haven't been able to know.
Okay.
Like we didn't,
I didn't know if there was any conversation with the administration
No.
that you were locked in on like a conference facility.
Yeah, well, that's the best way of doing it. Unfortunately, we did not get a chance to do that. So no, at this point, we have 2 boardrooms. Do you know your occupancy?
The occupancy on
Bigger
each are 20 and one is 23.
Are they right next to each other? Or are
They're
they
across the hall.
Across the hall, okay.
They
lot
are,
of
they are what
times-
they are, boardrooms, like, they are for
Yeah.
executive boardroom meetings. They're not a conference room of 60, 70, 80 people now. So building height, we're good.
I think we're good. I mean,
Okay.
you're below the 45 feet, so you dropped it another whole foot, and then you're allowed up to 10 feet above what that 45-foot height is, so.
And we are at what,
I'm
8, 10, 8, 11 right now,
11.
I think, so that's good.
So, I guess my question in regards to, and this isn't to push you guys out of conformance, what is, so like those little gables that have been added,
Dormers.
yeah, dormers, those little dormers that have been added, how are those going to be viewed? Because I feel like they're just, they don't sit right on the building. And so I guess my thought would be those would get raised up a little bit to sit more in line with that other, with a cornice or something. But again, what I don't want to do is tell you to put them up and then we find out you're out of compliance. How would those be viewed?
Where are we talking
Those
about?
little,
Which way?
these little dormers, how are those viewed in terms of the height?
Well, they're sitting at 142
can they go above that 144 line or 144.10?
Sure, with your approval, all such projections in excess of 10 feet must be.
One of the,
Did Pam require those?
No, would they
Yeah.
make the
Yeah.
building height?
Well, I guess.
No, they're
I think they
projections.
just need to be moved up. I'm
think
not
that's
saying
his
they need to
question.
go away.
Well,
I like
Ask
that.
Pam about that. With a,
So you say-
when you say move up, what do you
Well,
mean?
I feel
by
like
that?
they need to be sitting, and again, something just doesn't, they seem like they're just kind of like haphazardly sitting there. So I almost feel like they need to either have more of a peak to them that would match similar to that. Like, I don't know what the pitch on that is, maybe it's similar.
The pitch, and I cannot, it's not mentioned in there, but I know one of the conversation back and forth was that this, the way it is drawn matches the pitch.
This
of
is
the
a
other
512, okay, all right.
You know,
No,
again,
I get
as
it.
my architect, I'll get a proper response, but I think one of the, back and forth was to make sure that these dormers look very close to,
I feel like they
Did
need to
Pam
sit.
approve those that way? Pam, the girl?
Pam has the drawings and there are comments about,
Yeah, well, she's the
Think
one
so.
that should be asking that, whether it looks good to her.
I feel like it needs to just, that needs to have a little bit more thickness to it at the bottom to just kind of,
let's see what it says.
something doesn't feel right with it. I like them, nice add and touch to them. I just feel like there needs to be a little,
You like the placements of
the
them?
cornices seem like, cause this one's, like the cornice on those is just real, and I see they matched it, which was good. But I feel like they just need to be a little bit thicker cornice, and then even if that means this bumps up, I'm okay with that. And that's just my opinion. I don't know what the rest of the commission feels, but I feel like if it just went up a little bit higher, they just kind of, so you guys can kind of see what I'm doing.
Moving the whole unit
Moving
up or
that-
making
No.
them bigger?
Just
Making it
making 'em-
more, instead of this, making it like more.
No, I feel like,
Just
Not scaling.
Something's not right here with these. I don't know.
but is it, if you start just making them bigger, are they, is it,
I don't want to
the
make them
difference in
bigger.
pitch kind of
No,
screwing up, or-
I'd like to keep, I'd say keep the pitch the same. I'd almost change what I'm kind of recommending here is you somehow play with that cornice gets a little bit, like sits more, cause see how this,
Like a thicker bottom
yeah,
is
the
what you're
thicker
saying?
bottom
Squatty.
cornice.
They feel too squatty.
Yeah,
Is
they
that
just,
what
they
you're-
feel, yeah.
Personally, I don't love them, but just,
Well, how do we get to that point?
It was
Pam
Sam
wanted
asked
to add more gable, like, more
West
stuff.
Reserve to match the adjacent.
Maybe it's even the fact that maybe
Item 6 on her.
if they were to carry down, like almost if something were to carry down, like as part of this window, almost like, cause see, I think where they're getting lost is the idea is for them to look like a dormer, but they're not looking like a dormer, I guess. So almost like if they were to be, if like somehow maybe they were to be accented around to give the appearance of it being a dormer.
Just that top fourth floor?
Just
Yeah,
that,
just
yeah,
the top.
I don't think you need to carry, if you carried it down, then I think it would look
That's gonna
almost like
be-
a thin, weird like a pencil shape almost, but I feel like if they were just to carry, and that can be done in a brick detail, that doesn't need to be anything outrageous. I mean, maybe this detail right there carries out to there or something, and then the window just is sitting,
It can, it's doable, everything we talk about is doable.
yeah.
The only thing I would keep a little bit in mind is, like, we only have gables on
I
7
know,
windows.
I know.
And then, like if you look at the whole picture.
I don't wanna do them, I don't feel like they would be, you shouldn't do them there because then that's gonna
Then
sit
it's
too
gonna be
close
too
to
close
there.
to this, so that's an issue. We,
I almost feel like
I
this
technically
one-
did
this
not
one-
want to do that.
I wouldn't do that
but
one. That
that's-
one looks kind of
that's
weirdly
something
placed.
was requested.
I would
to add in.
almost, I guess, looking at it more in detail like this,
This might,
I think that
the pitch over here,
I'm good with these, and like not having one there and there.
because that's too close.
Correct. I don't think one here is fine. I almost feel like you want to get rid of these two and just have only one there.
That's,
But I don't know if that's gonna look,
get rid of just the one?
The one that's not on
Yeah, this one definitely get rid of, I think.
Anything that's not over the windows makes it
This one might be
not
okay.
good.
Once this
Anything
one's
that's too close to this makes it look weird. You know, I think I see where Pam comes from, what she was trying to get symmetrical on both things. If I keep two over here and the backside of that is this, if this has 3, it's a concern. Yes, maybe it is, but you know, nobody's gonna
I'd
look
say
at the, like, you know what I
one
mean?
side-
Like, and
Yeah.
nobody's gonna care about it, you know,
I'd
it's
say
more,
get rid
you
of
know, you
that
wanna
one. I
get
feel
rid
like
of that one.
I think you get rid of that one because then you are keeping it symmetrical, where you're just doing blank, 2, blank, tower, blank, 3, and then, or 4, and then blank. Yeah, I feel like that's more of a better rhythm. Yeah, get rid of that one. And then when I'm looking at this too, so I think I have kind of 2 different thoughts. One, does this carry down like this? Just in terms of like a brick detail.
So you're saying move this brick detail out, or
Yeah,
keep
take-
that and add one more? I think that might be,
That might get a little busy. I'm kind of, I'm trying to kind of think through things on the fly here, so I might see it and be like, I don't like that. That would be my own fault. Or do we keep the same pitch and do you bring these in just a little bit? Because like right here, well, that one's gone, so never mind, ignore that comment. But I'm wondering if you bring these in just a little bit, if they would then look, because right now, I mean, again, if you think about it from this standpoint, look at your tower elevation, and kind of, you have just, we'll just say that this may be right here, from here, the edge of your tower, say that's maybe a foot. You know, right here, when you look at where this would
It's
really
more than
want
a
to
foot.
end, that's almost like
yeah,
2 foot or something. So either
shorten this or
bring that
create-
line, yes.
But
or-
if you create another one, you're saying create soldier kind of a look right here.
Yes.
And kind of
Or
make
some
it,
kind of like a trim so that it truly does look like a dormer. So when you have a dormer, you typically have it where it sticks out. And this I know isn't going to, but it's gonna stick out from your actual elevation, or you're gonna do that the wrong way, but it's gonna kind of come back like that. So it's gonna kind of, you know, it's gonna look like a dormer. This right here just looks like it's kind of just like this floating piece. So I guess I would say explore how this whole piece can kind of start to act as like as a dormer, I guess, so to say.
sure. We'll be happy to provide a couple more visuals on this. Who should we send it to?
It'll
get a
all have to
quicker-
go through Nino, and Nino will send it to Pam, and then Pam will look at it.
Okay. Now,
I think that addresses her.
Pam's
number 4
not
and
here,
5.
but you know, she wanted more dormers per her note, and we are trying to get rid of a couple of dormers. So
I think, well,
again,
ultimately what'll happen there is, I mean, unless anybody else on the commission feels differently, I mean, we as the commission will, like, we can kind of say like, yeah, don't do that one, or, you know. I mean, does anybody feel differently that like eliminating a couple of these is a bad thing you do?
No, I agree
Oh,
with
okay,
you.
you're
I don't want to add any more of those.
No, I don't think you add any more. I think it's getting
I
rid
think
of a
the idea
couple
of
that,
getting rid of this and this will, like, it
I feel
does
like,
what it's supposed to do.
I think it'll help it.
Yes, and I do see what you mean by it, you know, so we can provide that. It's not a, we'll send it to you guys, just this section, you know, so that's an architectural kind of a thing, and then you let us know what you guys think about that. And let's look at the comments real quick.
There was one other elevation that I wanted to just look at. Those side, these, might have been, is it those, or is it on
The end
are
corner.
they
The end
different
corridor's
ones?
right here.
Are they different than Yeah, that looks good. I like how you guys combined that all to
And
be
we
one.
widened it, it's all one, so
Yeah, yeah,
and this
I
is
like
your
that.
front end, so we copied pasted both the sides, so it kind of
Yep,
looks
that
the
looks
way,
good and
you
balanced.
know, yep. We added these, I don't know what to.
They're,
I forgot about
it's a
cushions.
detail. It's like
Yeah.
more of like a,
That was added.
It's folded up in the front.
Okay. Real quick. Yep.
Oh, it was these. These ones look a little awkward now. Can you go to?
Yeah,
which-
because look at the color one, look at the color one.
Yeah, that's
what you're
what I
looking at.
wanted
Yeah. And then what, you know.
I wonder if it needs to just have a column brought down on the side of it. And even if that, so,
It might, then you might have to make it bigger because, you know, that.
that's what I'm struggling with right now, because it just,
Do you mind the idea of not awning, but what is that?
oh, just like a flat.
Yeah, a flat. You know,
Turnbuckle to the wall.
Turnbuckle
on
to
the
the
feel
wall,
like that would hurt
dark
this.
or
I
a
feel-
black.
I feel like, well, I don't know.
Like I think you know what you guys were
Any
talking
thoughts?
about in this
On the Duncan,
Dunkin', right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's what they have. They have flat.
I know.
The new Chase building has, you know, that kind of element.
It might not look bad.
The only place.
I would only do it on these.
The only concern I would have, or I would like to bring it up, is how do you then look at these two?
I'd leave those two alone. These two, I
that's a good
think,
answer,
those
yeah.
two I like because they're
Just-
bigger.
Just this
These
portion,
look-
because that's a completely different thing, anyways.
They are,
You
and
know,
they look a
something coming
little.
with a turnbuckle.
Is there a reason you guys didn't? Oh, then you would have to do one there. So okay, I guess
This is our boiler room door. This is
That's
our
a
breakfast egress door. This is our elevator egress. You come out the elevators, you come right out.
Yep.
This one is our middle
Middle
egress
egress.
as well,
Yeah.
because we don't hit
That's the
50
pool.
feet.
And
And
that's
that's
the pool.
the
That's the pool.
pool exit door, it's a
exit door.
storefront door.
Do they have to, do they go over all the doors then?
that's what I'm thinking, and I'm trying to.
That's, again, I think doing this over here and here, not a big deal. I think it's a miss.
Can you show just? Yeah, I
I
think.
think it's a miss from the architect.
Yeah, that's okay. I mean, again, I know you guys are kind of. I'd like to see what like a flat one would look like with a turnbuckle.
Okay.
Going back, it might not look right on the rest of the building just because there is so much additional detail, but let's explore it.
And this is the back portion.
That's kind of why
So,
I'm.
you know, if,
It's facing Girl Scout.
because enlarging this, you know, like for example,
Yeah.
right here, this bump out, it will not, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no,
It's not
I'm
gonna
following
work,
you.
so,
That's why I kind of paused when I was about ready to say that. My only other thought would be is, do you do, on the two end ones, do you do something that has a column that drops down, and then these ones just get maybe the turnbuckle, and maybe that might even look weirder, I don't know. But because these are gonna be more, like, cause some of this stuff sits behind your fence, doesn't it?
Well, the fence is gonna be more like a
Transparent.
Okay.
like it's, you know, it's like a see-through pergola where people can have drinks or, you know, like it's not gonna be an enclosed kind of a deal, so.
Let's see maybe what, like if you were to do a columned one here, cause then as you kind of turn the corner, it's not just a complete different look. And then since these are a little bit more hidden behind things, so like this one and this one do with a column dropping down, and then these three get turnbuckles. And let's see what that looks like. Sorry, I don't mean to chase.
याद रखें बदू?
Yeah.
I don't mean to send you guys down a rabbit hole.
No.
there. I'd like to. Do you have any thoughts or opinions?
My
I mean,
only thing is, I think that if you go to the canopy, you don't really see it when you're driving up, where if you see those, I don't know, I feel like my eye would be drawn to that, and it's a little weird with them up top and down below. I don't know, but I'm not an architect.
What do you mean by up top? Sorry, I'm not following.
Having these here and here and here, where if you just had the black canopy, I think it just
Would
blends in,
ground
you
it
don't even
better.
notice it.
It might, and that's kind of where I'm back and forth a little bit.
Because if you look at the new, like, you know, Keynes or Chase building, you know, they have these gables and the flat roof on the
Yeah.
top, but when you look at their first floor entrance, you know, they really have some of those have just the black
That's why I'm
bronze
not
or black.
That's
you
why
know,
I'm not
turnbuckle.
opposed to
So
looking
it might
at
not look bad, but okay.
It probably. I don't think it will. I just want to see it before I say like yeah or no. Because I
Okay.
feel like those almost look more weird. That's what my eye caught, and I'm like, something doesn't look right with those.
Kevin, could I comment a little?
Yeah.
You move this along. I think Scott maybe ought to talk to Pam about this. She's our professional, and bounce that idea off her and see if you can talk her into it. That's who we should be, instead of us, arguing about it or talking about it. She's the one that should look at this, and I think Scott could talk to her about it and kind of talk her into it, exactly what you're talking them into. Because I go about roles. What's our role here? Pam is a professional that's supposed to be watching over this thing, and that's what I'd like to do. Besides, I got a 7:30 tomorrow. I'd like to move it along if we could.
Yeah, the only that's a great plan. The only thing is, again, Pam wants more dormers, and then when we submit this revised.
We'll make sure that you're not gonna be
Yeah.
bouncing back and forth.
That's fine,
If Pam comes back and asks for more dormers, I think we as a commission agreed to eliminate those two that we struck out, so I think, if she's, and I don't wanna go against her, but I think if she states one thing and we've already kind of given you direction for one, I think we can feel confident that we're okay with elimination of those two at least.
Yeah.
One bigger ticket item that we had, two bigger ticket item on Pam's comments, well, I want to hold on to this one. Right here's our rooftop unit. We cannot move the rooftop unit.
The screening.
Yeah, we're gonna screen them, but.
We need a screening plan.
Yeah, and
It's a
it's,
screening plan.
it's, it says up here, mechanical screen, decorative screen,
Yeah.
on the roof plan, so of course, when we submit it,
Make
it's gonna
sure
be
she
on there.
gets that.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So can I, Mr. Chairman, can I just
Yeah.
say that? Also, and Tony, you raise a great point. What, if the commission wants to kind of point Mr. Wallenhurst to, on its behalf, to meet with Pam and the applicant, we were just talking that it might make a lot of sense, and then just hash this stuff
Yeah,
out. So
instead
we're
of
not
us-
back and forth 500 times.
Here,
And
yeah.
maybe have your architect there too. And I think
Yeah.
it also would be good to have your architect, when you come for final plan approval, to walk the commission through.
Okay.
That'd be helpful.
Yeah, we can't speculate here tonight, come up with ideas sitting here. I think Pam, you go
If
over
you're
with
willing.
Pam.
Yeah, I'm
Sure.
Yeah, that's the way to
Okay.
do it, I think.
Yeah, maybe coordinate, again, through the city guys, but, yeah, Scott could certainly meet with Pam and you guys.
Okay.
So does that also then, there's other things from Pam's memo that we
I'll
have
work with
discussed
Pam
here?
on them. I'll address them with Pam.
Like the
That
brick
way
color
these
and all
guys
that
don't-
stuff?
What's
Is
that?
it-
I'm gonna we're gonna quickly show you the samples,
Oh,
like
yeah.
real quick, so you can say yay, nay, whatever you want to. But before we move on to that, one thing that Pam was also concerned about is the Exxon rendering or drawing or something. Basically, she wanted to know how the roof looks from 271. Our engineer had, done this survey on themselves, like, it shows, if you can, yeah. That's us, that's us, that, the 271, where it crosses our building, it's at, 1005 elevation. And our building top of the parapet are at 33 to 1037. So they're a good 35 feet higher than the road. So, again, same.
How many feet?
35 feet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought he said something.
Yeah, because you could see, I think you could see the top of, can you see the top of
You
Girl
can see,
Scouts?
so when you drive
But
through
you
that,
guys are,
you can see level to level, you see second floor window, you see trusses for third floor. But otherwise you see the whole building, you know what I mean? But level to level, that's what you see. And we're about 35 feet higher than that. And the reason it was her concern was because of the rooftop unit.
Yeah.
But if we're gonna screen them,
Problem solved.
there you go.
Problem
So, okay, something that,
Is
we
it
can
okay
talk
if
about that.
it stays on her letter, I guess, is my question?
Well, again, Mr.
They-
Wallenhurst, you'll have a meeting and we'll address this issue. At the end of the day, the road sits lower,
Yes.
right? And you're not gonna change that unless we're gonna ask you to go,
We can't take the building higher.
raise 271 up.
And we cannot take the building higher, right? Add
That's
another
all
2
right.
floors, we cannot do that.
yeah, because you can't see the top of the Girl Scout building, and that's 2 stories, right?
Yeah.
It's probably a tallest 2 stories, but I think it's only 2.
Right.
Yeah,
You they could supply some photos that show that. Take some pictures.
Yeah, somebody,
That's right off of-
not you driving, somebody drives in the passenger.
That, I mean, it's right here on Google, you can't see it.
But if you take some pictures, you can document pretty
Yeah,
clearly
it-
what you're gonna see.
I think you'll.
And then what you do see, you're gonna screen with
Screen
rooftop
that.
units.
There's one rooftop unit that's gonna be screened regardless of whether you see it or you don't see it, it's gonna be screened.
There's
So we're
more
not even
way
gonna
to cure
debate it, you know.
the elevation difference.
You can see it for Girl Scout, but they're just, it's a much lower building.
Quickly jump into the engineering reviews real quick. You know, we did do the final submission of the engineering, but I can understand why was it not reviewed. But the point one that they just, you know.
That's
that-
a non, I talked to Mr. Gelati, that's a non-issue, number one.
Perfect.
He said it's a non-issue. Number two, you just need to provide that.
I've done that. Wetland study has been provided on December 21st, 2023 via email. If I, you know,
Well, I'd resubmit it to Mr. Gelati.
not a problem.
Light pollution, we already addressed.
Okay. And then fourth item is,
Yeah, the other is, you gotta have
Is-
the
is-
construction there.
can we, I mean, if you look at, this is a construction plan. We're not changing anything on this, you know, without the reviews, right? I mean, this is a construction plan for the engineering. The only thing we have to identify is the view shed on it, which is gonna be approved by the landscape architect, because we're gonna provide them the grading plan, right? And everything else is more an architectural review about the exterior, whatnot. Is it okay to ask for Joe to review these? Because if there's any comments, we would, you know, like, we're getting into time frame where we're gonna start moving earth. So, you know, of course, you know, this is lack of our submission, we get that. But, you know, next time when we come, you know, we would like to have some comments, just like how we addressed all the comments here and we know where to go with it. We don't wanna come in blank next time and then have engineering comment a month or two later, and then, you know. So is that an okay request to ask Joe to start reviewing the engineering or no?
You send it all to me, and, you know, if you would like Joe to look at it, just write me a note that you want Joe, and I'll get it to him.
Okay, all right, that's perfect. Yeah. I don't think it was in the review this time, but auto turn template, you know, because we are going with the 22 feet, you know, I think our engineer put a call in to the fire department and you guys approved, and you wanted to see the auto turn template, which is part of the submission. So we're good on that? Okay.
As long as it's in your final plan submittal.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, that's it.
Brick colors?
We got samples. We'll-
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Clear up a little bit.
I think they're just trying to get guidance on some of this stuff.
Shingles, the 3 dimensions shingles, you know.
Good to me.
Yep.
Good to me.
Okay, that's fine.
They're shingles?
Yeah, the elevations, so I mean, they can see.
And they're not pink, so.
I'm gonna put one back. This is only one material for us.
You can't run with it.
Okay. Brick one. Is that my brick one? Yep. Brick one. This is my, you know,
The bottom.
the bottom. Yep. And same thing with the crash enclosure right there. Brick number 2, right here is my bump outs that we're talking about. Brick number 3 is this section right here. And then you have brick number 4, which is just,
Punch outs. And
yeah, the punch outs or whatever you call it, you know.
Can we keep these?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, they're all color coordinated with this
Got it.
right here.
Okay.
So yeah.
I'm kind of thinking you guys don't need to do a different color around the windows. I feel like it's getting a little too busy. I would say to just do whatever the field color is, whatever this color is that touches this.
We
do
spoke about
that,
doing,
and then do this, do that
three.
color.
so this, I don't know why.
I would eliminate.
One around the window.
I would eliminate that. Yeah, that
The
if that's the one that's around the windows, get rid of that one. And
There's
then
the BR4, so you, how do you do this?
whatever
course.
this is this what's this one
This is
in this
a
color?
B3.
Right here.
So then do this color around it. It'll pop by just with it being
Different
because they should be sticking it out just a little bit, like about a 3/4
Mm-hmm.
of an inch to an inch. It should stick out, so it'll give that appearance of, and with it also being in a different direction too, it's gonna pop itself. I think a color around there would make it. It would call too much bad attention to it, I guess, so to say.
Okay. And then the final thing was the first floor bricks are utility size, they're 12 by 4.
Yep,
And then the rest of the building is
standard brick
modular
size.
brick, yeah.
Okay.
2 1/4.
8 by 2 1/4.
Okay.
Just, you know.
Sound good.
Full bricks.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'm 100% on board with the colors yet, but we'll work through that. I don't.
Okay. We'll work with that, that's fine.
Yeah, that's not anything major. I mean, that's
Just to
a,
quickly throw in,
yeah, that's
my
kind
idea
of
was
that's
to,
kind of more what I was
this-
thinking.
my idea was to get rid of number 2. But I could be wrong. I'm right here. You decide.
I'm not a fan of this personally.
You are not
I
a
don't
fan
know
of this?
what you guys are thinking.
I like the increased contrast.
This.
You like this, yeah? That's
I do too, and but I didn't want to be. I didn't want to like immediately shoot you down.
You guys can look.
I keep looking back to this one, it's like,
It's
kind
not
of a weird color.
It is.
A
It's
little
just
bit.
not.
I'm like, okay, it's called gray. but
See,
it's
like
just-
I almost feel like these. Now, this one originally I was kind of had a problem with. This and this I don't like, but this and this doesn't bother me as much anymore because I feel like the brick, the red's helping it pull out. And again, we can
talk about
we can go
this.
through this more in
It's not
detail,
here.
but
Okay.
I would,
Leave them here for now, and then
guys, everybody else,
number 2.
yay, nay.
The only thing I would do with that is go with it even darker.
I would agree. If this were darker, I would say yes, but
Again, I thought you and Pam hash it out.
it's fine.
See what she thinks about it. I'm not in the aesthetics like some people.
I'll leave it up to Pam about it, but I
What
feel
would
like
I
it's
know?
not.
I don't know anything about
It's just an odd.
All right.
Sorry, I'm just going to take a quick
No, you're
picture.
fine.
Yeah, bounce that off. You don't.
Yeah, you can get rid of that one.
Yeah, that one's.
Well,
I'll leave it
you know
here.
what? Leave it here because actually that might be better. That might go better with something else.
Can you take, I think mine is, I can check it, just so we have all this brand and everything.
Okay.
So I guess for actual, I don't think you're really looking for necessarily a motion tonight. It's,
We're looking for.
we were looking for that guidance on the building height. I think we've video documented it, so we feel you're in compliance with those heights. Got some more guidance, I think, work with them, but I think you can feel pretty comfortable that the height thing's not gonna be an issue anymore.
Yeah, you're good there.
So I guess with that, we'd probably, when do you think you're thinking about coming back? Couple months? Because the next one is, you gotta
We're
have
not
it
gonna
by
make
Friday.
that. We're not gonna make that.
So possibly
We're gonna
August.
miss July, so that means it's gonna be August.
Okay.
And for August to happen, we really need
To get
your
together
and
soon.
Pam's help, because most of the items are architectural.
I'll reach out to
You know,
Pam.
so-
August.
You're okay with that? I'll reach out to Pam. We'll get something scheduled.
I would love to be in August, I think.
Okay.
Once we have a good direction for architect to make some changes on this, it's not gonna be a big
I don't
deal.
think you guys are far off. I really don't. I know you're not far off. I think it's just some little tweaks here and there. And it's just more of like a detailing thing. It's not anything like you have to.
And meanwhile, once Joe reviews this and we get a comment back, we would like to break ground here soon, so, the
Okay.
permitting process, of course. We're not allowed to do anything before that, so.
With that, I'll make a motion to continue this to the August meeting to address final details and,
I'll second that.
all right, any more discussion? All in favor? Aye. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
If you just wanna
Thank you for your time.
sit those on a chair or something.
Chair, is that okay?
Yeah.
You need sample for this shingle?
No, we're good on that. I know the black three-dimensional shingles are fine. Thank you.
Anything else?
I think that is
What are
it.
This
those?
is the,
So you guys wanna talk about some more stuff?
we
Second
get from
floor
first
to the
floor to
first
second
floor.
floor.
Oh,
That breaks
okay.
up the two different
We're
sizes.
looking at sandstone, but I'll just leave it here.
Yeah, why don't you leave it here? That's fine. I'm almost
You wanna
feeling
talk
that's
about
like
something
about
else?
the color
Should I
the base
motion
needs to
adjourn?
be too. I'm almost feeling like that might be the color the base needs to be too.
When you
That
say first
sandstone
floor,
color.
Down to
The
18%.
sand, yeah, the sandstone color as opposed to that, like, because it has a little bit of a yellow hue to it.
I motion we adjourn.
Second? All in favor? Aye.
Thank you, guys.
Yes.
I motion we adjourn.
Oh, I'm sorry.